So are we just going now? We're not?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna reconvene into open session. Thank you guys for all being here. We got a full house tonight. We're gonna start with taking positive steps of service award.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. Jelnick. Awesome. Christy Paskey can come up here.
Got the Lodi colors on.
She does.
Yeah.
So some of you know Christy. She's a math teacher at the high school. Has been there for
A lot of years.
a lot of years. That's all I'll say. So I'm going to read this about Christy.
He's way more than a man.
Lodi High School seniors recently participated in a meaningful real-life simulation designed to help them understand what it's like to live on an average income in their chosen career field. And this impactful experience would not have been possible without the outstanding leadership and dedication of Christy Paskey. From leading a group of teachers to help organize the logistics to preparing students for the responsibilities they would face, Christy demonstrated exceptional commitment and organization over the past year and a half in offering this hands-on learning opportunity to our seniors called Senior Reality Day. Throughout the day, students were divided into morning and afternoon groups, navigating real-world financial decisions such as housing, transportation, childcare, and everyday expenses. Under Christy's direction, the event blended practical skill building with meaningful reflection, helping students recognize the realities of budgeting and financial independence. Her and her committee's ability to coordinate the multiple groups of people, structure the flow of student participation and support staff and volunteers speaks to her strong leadership qualities. A special acknowledgement is also due for Christy's collaboration with community members, many of whom generously volunteered their time to guide students through budgeting scenarios. Hosting the event off campus at the Comfort Inn and Suites in DeForest required extra coordination, and Christy rose to the challenge with professionalism and care. Her and her PPG group not only created a memorable learning experience for our seniors, but also strengthened the connection between Lodi High School and the broader community. I'm grateful for her dedication and the positive impact she continues to make on our students' lives in and outside of the classroom. So, Christy Paskey.
Here's taking positive steps for service award. And what I learned in financial, right, I can't give you money, I can give you, here's your $100,000. Christy, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank the school board for allowing us to try the activity and kind of trusting us to go with it. A huge shout out to Lodi Utilities who sponsored the entire event for us so that we could host it offsite. I think it's a really important piece of it is to go offsite so they don't feel like they're in school, that they're in the real setting. To Sorley and LMC for, he made all the posters, and when I needed someone to do all the randomization, he took care of all that for me. And then I have a member of my PPG group here, Mr. Coach Pulls, Shell Pulls, and the rest of the PPG group, because it was definitely a group effort, so just thank you to all those people.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My son participated, and he doesn't say much, and he said he liked that. It was pretty cool. He was also happy that he didn't go broke, so that's what he was really hoping.
There were a couple people, there was one kid, we had to just stop the simulation and
Yes.
say timeout, you have to go home now, because he was very broke, but he did learn a lot, but it was, I think it was 38 community members by
Yes,
the
38
time all,
community members.
that volunteered the whole day for us, so that, and they played their role really well. The car salesman really upsold those cars, and then they had to go back and get rid of them, so they
The
learned a
beauty
lot.
of what you did, though, you put people who had those real jobs in those positions, so those kids got to interact with real people who did those things.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
it was,
Chief of Police was there.
Yes.
And he handed out tickets accordingly at times, like
Yes.
if they were, like they would get random tickets. And then they could take it to a real judge.
And you could get an attorney, right?
And
I
then,
I love
there was
how
an
it
attorney
all,
there.
yeah.
So it was
But
just
that
real
costs
life.
money.
Yeah.
It cost money for the attorney fee, and any ticket they got, they had to go at least talk to the attorney, and then they had to go in front of the judge.
Very cool.
So everybody's played their role really well.
That's
So
awesome. Thank
we're
you.
hopeful to do it again. We're hoping it can still be a PPG so that we can continue to, we have some great ideas for next year, so.
Nice.
Awesome,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
I know my
handing out the $100,000 tonight.
Yeah, these we're gonna wait.
Okay,
So we're gonna skip ahead to our
ninth grade?
9th grade presentation. So
Awesome.
turn it back over to Mr. Jellick again.
So ninth graders, I'm gonna have you go up by the screen to start with, and as you're doing that, I'm gonna hand the board some information. You guys can head over there. So there is a program called Renew Our Schools, Get Smart with Energy Use, and Michael Radloff, who is a science teacher, and Leo Olson, who is also a science teacher, teaches all of our ninth graders. So they introduced this program to them, and I'm not gonna talk about it much, because they're gonna explain all of this in their presentation, but I wanna give you this handout. This comes from the Renew Our Schools website, and then on the back, you'll see some guidelines that the ninth graders came up with based on the audit that they completed. So I'll let you look at that as we present. Okay, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and you're gonna point at Mr. Oh, you got a clicker. Perfect. Fine. It's all you.
All right, my name's Anna Gillis.
Caleb Polson.
Angeli Erickson. Emily Meyer. We're going to talk to you about our high school's energy production, consumption, and policy that we come up with.
So basically, when we did this audit, it was a bunch of ninth grade students that went around to different classrooms of sorts and went around and sort of checked the light levels in the rooms, the temperature, and how much energy they were consuming. And why we were doing this is because we wanted to find ways to save energy around the school, and this was a good way to start.
The results of this information for like the average classroom, the lux meter. What this chart is saying is that of all the classrooms, 70% of these classrooms were overlit, which means we are spending more money on the electricity bill, around $2,981 on lighting. And what the second chart is saying is the amount of phantom load. What this chart is saying is that 40% of classes are experiencing a thing called phantom load. Like, that is when an appliance is giving off energy when it isn't in use, which means the electricity bill becomes more expensive.
Okay, these are results of what we classified as odd rooms. For example, like the pool, or the auditorium, the gym, the LMC. This is the first chart you see is the lux chart. It shows us that 66.7% of these odd rooms have a lux or lighting that is above the recommended amount. And 33.3% of these rooms are within recommended range. The second chart shows the phantom load. So this chart says that 33.3% of our odd rooms are experiencing phantom load, which are appliances that are using energy when they aren't on or in use, which affects the electricity bill.
This shows the lighting in the hallways. The whole school average hallway lux is 358. The recommended range of a hallway is 50 to 100 lux. We are surpassing the recommended lux by 385%. The whole school yearly hallways lighting cost is $3,733.
And so this is a school that has solar power, has solar panels on top of it. They're much, much smaller than our school, and they only use, on average, at their very height, use about like 30 kilowatts, which is significantly less than ours, as you'll see in a moment. But so the green basically represents the solar and the energy produced by the solar panels each day. And as you can see, some days it surpasses the amount of energy that they consume each day. This is our energy consumption specifically the Lodi High School's energy consumption each of 6 days. And this is at our peak, it's about 300 kilowatts each day that we're spending on electricity. And we're spending about $2,865 every week doing this.
back, yeah, there you go.
What you can do. Fix the light in the hallways by spacing them further apart so that the hallways are not overlaid. We should add solar panels to all the school buildings because, as you saw on the previous slide, the solar panels on some days are producing more energy than the school consumes. Take out one of the bulbs out of each of the hallway lights.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Are there any questions?
One of the things that you can do is if you go to that second page, you can look at some of the other guidelines that we're gonna start following. And that's teachers, that's students, working with Scott, our custodian, working with Neil, building and grounds, on some of the things that we can change at our school to reduce the consumption of energy, which will save the district some money. So can I ask you guys one question? I kinda know the answer, but I want you to, how did you find out what each room looked like? Did you use any devices, or what did that look like? 'Cause I saw you in a classroom one time using some devices to figure that all out. What was that all about?
So there's this thing that plugs into a wall, and basically you unplug whatever device is in there, and then you plug that in, and then you plug the thing that used to be plugged in into that outlet, and basically that will read you how much energy that one thing is using. Another thing we used, I think it was called a lux meter. Basically, it has this sort of dome on the top of the device, and it reads how much lighting is in each area that it's in. And an infrared thermometer. When we did temperature, you would have to stand like 6 feet away from a wall, and then you would measure the temperature of the room.
So the company actually installed an e-gauge for us. So you saw the readings there, so we can see all the time exactly the energy consumption that we have in high school. So it was really interesting to see that the first day, the first week, where it looked like. And there's another thing that we are gonna do a better job is we have a lot of screens that are plugged in our building that are constantly on. So we turn those off. I have not had my lights on in my office for a long time now, since we've had this audit. Like, I just turn them off, I don't need to use them. So we're a little bit more conscientious of lights being turned off and other things in the school, so, yeah.
I have a question. So, my dad used to work for, well, what's now Alliant Energy, it was Wisconsin Power and Light back in the day. So I'm familiar with the whole phantom load. So I'm just curious, was anybody surprised with the amount of energy that is actually used by things that you think are off but are still plugged in? I remember, we're talking 35, 40 years ago, I remember him bringing a device home that was able, like you said, you plug it in, and even though things aren't on, it's still pulling energy. So just to see how much, again, this was a long time ago, but it is surprising to see. I'm just curious if anybody, in the classes was surprised, with that whole phantom load.
Some people definitely were. Some people didn't know a lot about energy going into it, and then we learned a lot while sort of going through this whole process.
Yeah, these things also add up very quickly.
Absolutely.
Can you go back a couple slides to your Lodi High School energy use? That one there. So that's during September or October or when?
It is October, and I think it's it's
27th.
October to November 1st. So it's like 6 days. It's a little weird, but I just
No, that's
rounded
fine.
it to.
So that's off-season rates. So the minute we go back to summer and the AC kicks on, those are gonna be very cheap numbers, very low numbers. And how much did you say that was for a week there?
So for this,
2,600, 2,800?
$2,865.
Right.
So it'll be much higher in the
It'll
summer.
be much higher when the AC is on, so. So even though that sounds like an astronomical amount of money, and it is, it's going to go even higher once the AC kicks in.
Well, thanks for the bad news.
You're
And
It's
you
just
left
the
all
news.
those things plugged in.
Yeah.
But it's great that you guys are taking the initiative to try and find ways
Yeah.
to bring those
Yes.
things down.
No, it's shocking. Did you
It's
guys
great.
do this like as a whole class? You guys were in like little groups or?
Yeah, all of Science 9 got split up into groups and got assigned to different classrooms.
Oh, nice.
Nice. You guys did great presenting too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I love that there's what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Action plan.
Action plan.
Things you can do at home. Things you can do, yeah, a lot of things you can do at home.
We
too.
can take one of these lights out of each of these things.
Yeah.
Bothering
I'd be
you.
good with it.
Yeah, us board members love when you give us solutions too, not
Yeah.
just, here you go.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to go? It's Joe.
Always.
Always?
Joe? You're here with the
One more
board president
picture.
too.
Oh, with the board president. Oh, this is really important picture.
Sky's like,
Sorry,
yeah,
I
not really.
misunderstood what she was asking. Thanks again, guys. All right, so we have another presentation. That's going to be our strategic plan refresh. So just to give you a little background, the strategic plan refresh began in March with a meeting of the Board of Education. The board mapped out the community and selected stakeholders that represent many different areas within the school district of Lodi. As a district, we really appreciate the time, dedication, and focus this group had throughout the process. I'm going to turn it over to our three representatives of the strategic plan refresh committee, Erica Bardwell, Sky Barron, and Scott Burkett, and they present the committee's recommendation to the Board of Education. So, turn it over to you three. Thank you for being here so much.
But the clicker's over here, just so you
You
guys
have the
know.
clicker in
Like,
your
you have
hand.
to point
You
to.
have to point in the back corner.
Yeah,
This back corner?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just, so you know.
Where do you wanna go?
You choose.
You're starting.
Oh, boy. If it's, oh, you know what? We'll stand over here so you can look at the screen. At the same time, executive decision. Hello. Thank you for having us. As Dr. Brennick said, on March 20th, you all met, you mapped out the community, and you decided a group of people that would help with putting together. I know, am I an idiot?
No,
Just takes a
everybody, I've never used it, but I feel like everybody that does is not a fan of it. There you go. There we go.
The Board of Education wanted to represent a cross-section of the community, so make sure that all areas of the community were represented with the people that they picked. And though I thought they did a great job of that, though I know Scott and Sky were not in the same social circles, and nor was I in the same social circles with anyone that I was sitting in the room with, so I thought that was really nice that we all got to go out and talk to different areas of the community. The board gave us a charge. Step one, we were supposed to develop strategies to obtain community input. So step one was we were supposed to decide how do we get feedback from the community and engage everyone, and not just people with kids in the district, all stakeholders in the community. Every taxpayer, alumni, everyone involved that has a stake in our school district. We went through and we examined the district mission, the current pillars, and a cross-cutting strategy to do the next 5 years. So this was done 5 years ago. They asked us to refresh to do it again. And then today we're here to present those findings to you. You did it. I know the names of the people who sat on the committee are up here, but they put in a lot of time and effort and spent a long time at the table working really hard on things. So if you don't mind, I would love to take a moment to just read their names because I think it's important. The three of us, so Erica Bardwell and Sky Barron and Scott Pirquette. Heather Barron was our board liaison, Pam Cunningham, Susan Gaethel, Diana Carls, Heidi LaHue, Steve Neander, Dave Pulse, Emily Tembart, Julia Wiesing, and Rachel Whipperfirth. Two of those people with the asterisks had served on this committee previously, and so they really were helpful along the way for what this was supposed to look like.
So as Erica mentioned, this was a big commitment for the people that decided to be a part of it. And I think it's important to show, you know, what we did, the time investment of the meetings, the ideas fairs, the interviews, but it was also what we were doing in those meetings. It wasn't just about collecting the data and throwing it back at the board and back at the community. We took a lot of time scrutinizing every word that we used in the questions that we presented to the community. And as Erica mentioned, I was on the previous committee that did this, and I felt like this time it was a lot different because the first time we knew that the people that showed up were going to be in person, they were going to be able to work off of each other, come back with more ideas if they thought of them that day. But for these, we knew that most of our responses were going to come through a Google survey where people weren't going to be able to feed off of each other and get more of their ideas down on paper. So I felt like there was a lot more that went into the questions that we created for the community. And then beyond that, you know, making sure as many people as possible knew about the survey, interviewing people in person, showing up to these ideas fairs, which we'll talk about as well. And then after collecting all that data, again, scrutinizing every single piece of data that came through to make sure that we could translate that into something that was important to the community and bring it back to you today. So this next slide is just kind of showing that the commitment for the 2 hours that we were there each time was there, but it was also months of coordinating with multiple people. As you saw, there were 12, 13 of us that we had to coordinate a lot of schedules. That didn't always work great, but we still managed to get 6 meetings in and the 2 ideas fairs, and now we're here presenting to you today. So, maybe. Oh my God.
There's a delay.
I know.
I'm glad I
Are you
gave that to
kidding
you.
me?
Here you go.
Is that it? Okay.
I also want to thank the board for empowering the community to go through this process. It was nice that this was done by real Lodi parents, real Lodi taxpayers, and staff whose only interest is this community. Some of the stuff I'm going to say is probably a little bit of repeat, but you know, before we gathered new input from the community, we reviewed the current strategic plan that's in place. And obviously the people who served before were really helpful for the newbies who had no idea what we were doing going into this process. So that was extremely helpful. But from day one, our goal was to reach as many families and community members as possible, not just the most vocal people. So we decided to use a 3-pronged approach. We would do surveys that would go out to everybody in the community, interviews for deeper conversations, and then idea fairs at the school for people that wanted to come and had the time to come to do that. But every one of those formats, those 3 formats, were the same 5 open-ended questions, so every voice was treated fairly and consistently. So these are just some pictures from some of the committee meetings that we had. As you can see, you probably recognize some of the faces in there. It's your neighbors, your parents, your students, staff members. There was no scripts, no predetermined outcomes, and no outside influence. So the tough part was, how do we get information from the community? Because that's really, wasn't us on the committee that were creating the plan. We were taking the input that the community wanted to be in the plan. So we had a couple choices. We could have went with multiple choice questions. If we would have done that, that could have dictated what the plan ultimately would have been and would have limited how people could have given communication. And we would have been guessing at what the community wanted to tell us. So we went with open-ended questions. That allowed us to capture deeper feedback without forcing any predetermined answers. But we asked the same 5 questions again, regardless of what the formats were. So these were the questions. You can read them verbatim if you like, but what are some of the things a school district should stop doing, start doing, and continue doing? What 3 things should we prioritize to nurture every student's growth and opportunities? What is an idea to support, enhance our school district's inclusive environment? What's an idea to support, enhance innovative problem solvers in our schools? And as a result of the strategic planning process, how are we going to measure our success? And that was extremely hard to do without my glasses on, by the way. Next slide. Yeah. Oh, so the question, and I think someone touched on it already, but how would we get these questions out to people? So we had a lot of different ways to get this out. One was we sent a flyer out to every household in the school district asking for, if they wanted to be part of it. There were signs in multiple high-traffic locations. There were multiple social media pushes. And I think Erica talked about mapping out the community. I think we looked at, probably 30 different buckets of people could fall in, whether or not they had kids in the school, whether they were retired, whether they had kids in the sport program or music or none of the programs. And so we mapped those out and specifically reached out to those people. And some of us, when we reached out to them, we said, is there anyone else we should interview that you think would want to be part of this process? So we promoted it as much as we possibly could in multiple formats, which we think we captured people who might not have been captured in the survey. And I forgot what the final numbers were, but I think we were significantly higher than the first one. Was it about 30% higher? Does that sound right?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Here are some photos from two of the idea fairs that we had. I was at the 21st one. I think there's probably 10 people that showed up, 15 maybe. I didn't attend the one at the 31st, but I think there were more at that particular one. But again, it was just really a cross-section of our population, students, retirees, staff, a lot of different people showed up at these fairs. Last thing, as we move through the plan tonight, I just want you to say, we all took this very seriously. We were very respectful that the board chose us to be members of this committee. We're going to go through the results, and you'll see that there's a lot of major themes that showed up again and again. And every word, as you mentioned, was deliberately chosen to be not only in the questions, but also in the strategic plan. We discuss sometimes ad nauseum, does this word represent the spirit and tone of what the community told us? The facilitators of the group talked about that this strategic plan would be guardrails. And so we wanted to make sure those guardrails represented what the community wanted. Yes, we all brought our own perspectives, but it was really the community that spoke, and we all held ourselves accountable and each other accountable to make sure what's in the plan represents what the community wanted.
So before we get into what these new pillars, new strategic plan is gonna look like, this is just a reminder of what our old plan looked like. So as you can see, we had our 5 pillars, and for those of you who are not familiar, the old pillars were 1, preparing for the future, nurturing the whole student, innovative communication, connection, district workforce, and operational excellence. And then there was kind of that overbearing theme of innovation last time was the comment that we got over and over again. So now we will dive into the questions and some of the results that we saw from those questions. So the first question, as we had seen, is kind of a 3-parter. And so the first part of, and I should say before I get into this one, is that I kind of felt like this question was a good way for, when people hear that you're gonna ask questions about the Board of Education or the school district in general, people typically have a topic that's on top of their head that is bothering them or that they feel really good about. So this question kind of allowed people to get those thoughts out on paper and then dive deeper into the other questions along the way. So the first one, what should the school district of Lodi stop doing? As you can see, the top subject here was the political and cultural agendas. But we also had some really other high priority topics that people felt passionate about that the school district should stop doing. Favoritism, bullying, obviously people always care about the spending and the taxes, and then overemphasis on sports and academics, homework, meetings, and testing. So all of the results can also be found online, so there's a multitude of different results. These are just kind of the main themes that seem to come out of this question specifically. What should the school district of Lodi start doing? So as you can see, some topics that you would expect to see, clubs, extracurriculars, listening, staff support, and the top one, and this one being expanding career, trades, and apprenticeships. We saw a lot of people pushing towards career and life skill readiness, and you'll kind of see that throughout the other questions as well. And then the final one for this one is what should the school district of Lodi continue doing? And I personally love this one. I love that the top one from our community members is that they love Lodi pride, they love the culture, the traditions, and the academic excellence that we already have within our school district. So even with the stop doings, the start doings, there's still a lot of pride and people are very proud to be here. And I thought that was very neat to see. So we'll get into the next question.
Continuing on, we asked people what is an idea to support or enhance our school district's inclusive environment. And I think we skipped one. Yep, there it is. I was like, well, I'll just read it.
I'm alone.
Let's start with this one. What 3 things should we prioritize to nurture every student's growth and opportunities? The number 1 answer, no surprise, was core academic foundations, reading, math, writing, and comprehension. And then we had a very high amount of life skills, career readiness, and real-world learning. Moving through, people were concerned about social emotional learning or wanted us to prioritize that. They also wanted quality staff, retention and teacher support, individualized support for all students, and extracurricular opportunities and well-rounded growth. We also asked, what is an idea to support or enhance our school district's inclusive environment? The top answer was expanding all opportunities, and we heard encouraging peer interaction and belonging. I heard that personally a lot at the feedback, at the sharing nights, so that was kind of fun to see it come through on the surveys as well. Celebrate diverse student pathways, and continuing on with staff training, support for inclusion, support for underrepresented and marginalized groups, and balancing political and social issues.
Can I interrupt 1 second?
You
I
bet.
thought with this question, I don't know if you guys agree, when we asked people this one, I felt a lot of people kind of went, what do you mean by that? And I said, however you take it. And that was kind of the point of how we wanted that. We never wanted to like say, well, this is what we mean. And it was interesting, all the different responses, how people would take that one. So I just thought that was interesting when I get that look of, you know, I'm like, whatever you want to think.
I was gonna say, it means
It can mean-
something different for
Yup.
every person.
And I got a lot of different
Yeah.
ideas
Yeah,
and
every
answers,
person
so.
in this room, it could be something different.
That was the most surprising question
Yeah,
that I took.
and I
answers.
remember when we talked about the questions too, it
Yeah.
was like, people could take that different way, perfect. That's what, you know, that's what we wanted, like, to make it so people, we have even more wider answers, so. Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. You're right. Being ready to clap.
Sorry, Sky.
I did it, I promise. I knew it.
It's gonna go ahead like 3 now.
Good.
Another question was, what is an idea to support, enhance innovative problem solvers in our school? I know during the interview, some people struggled with this one as well. But I think what people are really saying when I look at all these is there's a lot of different paths for students to take after K-12. And not just focusing only on college. That's important. We want people to be ready if that's the choice they go. But it's really real-world, hands-on problem solving seem to be the number 1 thing. So kids can have a lot of different variety of paths they can take and be successful. We want to have inspiring, empowering teachers to help them accomplish that. We want to encourage creativity, open-ended thinking, and peer learning. Obviously, strong academic and foundational skills are pretty common in every single one of these. People want students to have a voice and leadership opportunities to gain confidence after they leave school, and individualized learning and support to help kids that maybe need a little bit more support and help kids advance that are even further that already advanced. And then, you know, we do the strategic plan, how do we measure is it successful? So as a result of the strategic planning process, what student accomplishments would reflect success? And number 1 was academic achievement and readiness. Second was graduation and post-secondary outcomes. Having kids have a strong sense of character, respect, and citizenship. Having people feel like they belong, have inclusion, engagement, life skills, real-world preparedness, and safe and positive environment.
So as you saw in the schedule of how our meetings came about. After all of the data collection, we did have 3 additional meetings to just look at the data and come to a consensus as to what we should be presenting here today. So as we said with the questions, there was a lot of scrutiny around every single word that we decided to put into these pillars. We wanted to make sure that we were fully representing what the community said and what they wanted you guys to hear. And so I would highly recommend that if you are passionate about seeing every single response, you go on the website and look at these responses, because, you know, we did our best to put those words together into a consensus. But for any doubters, it's all out there. We wrote down every single word that every person had said in all the different ways that we collected this data. So as you can see us working hard. We worked in small groups to begin with to kind of draw comparisons to the old plan. We split things apart, we put things together from the old plan, we created new parts of this plan, and then we slowly came into a bigger group until we were all together, finally deciding that finalized plan. So now we'll go through what that is.
Before we talk,
It's, I'm looking at it on my computer, it's the same way. It's moved over on my computer too.
Well, it's not on mine.
While Dr. Breinig is moving that over, before we talk about the plan, I would like to talk about the graphic really quick. So the last strategic plan had pillars, and this time we thought new plan, new look, so we chose bubbles. And this particular design was created by Emily Tembarge. Because, you know, she knows how to use Canva, and in one of the meetings, and she's quite good at it, in one of the meetings someone was like, can we just see what that would look like? And she volunteered and was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And so we sat in my office one day and made bubbles, and she made 5 different designs for us to all look over, and did an excellent job putting it together. So thank you, Emily, for all of your work on that. It's really cool that we don't have to, you know, hire a company to do it. And I think it's really cool that as a student you get to like leave your mark for the next 5 years and in the future. I do want to start out by just reading the district mission as a reminder. In partnership with our community, nurturing every student's potential for growth and opportunities, socially, mentally, academically, in a safe, respectful, and inclusive environment to create innovative problem solvers. So if you think about the district mission and then think back to the questions that we asked, you can probably like put together where we derived them from, and we tried to do our best to come up with questions that would help put forth a plan that would align with the district mission, if that makes sense.
Can I, sorry to interrupt, I just want to say, Emily, I love this layout because you've got in the center the school district of Lodi. And everything else is connecting and touching that versus, you know, what we had before the pillars. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Way more visually engaging than what we had before.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's no problem. It also doesn't make one thing more important than the other
Right.
things.
It's
Like,
all-
it's all encompassing.
It's all connected.
One more thing before I have them go through the bubbles. The number one thing that we saw through almost every question was community connections. And as a group, we were like, how do we put that in every single area? And the answer is, that's okay. The answer is, we don't really. We have it as our overarching theme and tie all of these bubbles with the community connections, because that's what the community asked for.
So are we calling them bubbles or are we calling them pillars?
It's up to you. The circles, the ovals, whatever you'd like.
The first bubble, academic excellence. Ensure every student achieves strong foundational skills and the core competencies needed for readiness in their career pathways. So we had some bullet points that I think are going to be provided to the board about what these represent. So we're not going to go have those on the actual slide itself. but it's ensure that every student develops strong core competencies in things such as writing, science, math, literacy, while at the same time maintaining diverse programming, such as STEM, electives, advanced placement, and exchange programs. But we want to define success not only by test scores. That was a theme that really came out during the input. It's not everything should be tied directly to a test, but really readiness for whatever path that child chooses, whether it's college, trades, or some other career. Second one is success beyond the classroom. So to equip students with essential life skills, expanded career technical education, work experience, and extracurricular opportunities to thrive outside the classroom. So really, it was talking about how to provide real-world, hands-on problem-solving opportunities, kind of like we saw at the first presentation that was provided. I think that was a great representation of what we're meaning here. And expand career, technical, education, trades, and apprenticeship pathways, whatever those would be. Basic goal is really help every student develop financial literacy, goal setting, and accountability. And then supportive and engaging culture, actively strengthen trust, communication, and relationships that foster a safe and respectful sense of belonging for all. We want to build stronger school, family, community partnerships that increase trust and transparency. Promote consistent expectations for behavior, communication, and respect across all schools, and create environments where every student and staff member feels valued and included.
And then the final two, and they were placed where they are placed for a reason, and that's because we felt like these two pillars were kind of the foundation of our school district to be able to continue doing what it's doing. So the first one being strong and inspired staff, attract, support, and retain passionate team members who inspire learning and innovation. Personally, for the question that I presented on, this topic specifically came up in both the start and continues. So while we absolutely love our staff, we want to starting and continuing to support them in ways that they want to stay here. Because without great staff, we can't really produce great students. And then operational and financial sustainability, ensure long-term operational success through strategic financial stewardship, budgeting, and innovative planning. So this kind of came about through the different comments that we would see based on facilities or referendums, the stuff that people get passionate about at those times. But again, foundational to the sustainability of our district and the long-term success. Every time I click it again, I didn't do that.
The strategic plan refresh webpage will be put on the district website, and there you could find anything and everything that you were ever looking for having to do with the strategic plan, including this presentation. So it'll go through the survey questions, who were the committee members, all the raw data is there. So if you were like, well, I answered this and I don't think they looked at it, you can go in and look for your answer. All the data is out there. And there are pictures of the process along the way. So it is there for everyone to see and look in and dive a little deeper if this wasn't.
But people's names won't be on there, so you can
No,
see who
all the
said
surveys
that.
were anonymous. Yeah. Correct. And finally, we worked really hard to make sure that this was a community-driven plan. We hope that you agree and choose to adopt it. I'm just gonna speak for myself here. I love that the board wants to engage the community. You don't have to. You don't have to. And I love that you make time and go out of your way to create this opportunity to take community feedback and actually listen and implement it in everyday classroom life. And that's, as a person with a student in the district, very cool. Thank you to everyone who took time to give the district input. And the committee would like to thank, oh, well, I kind of said that already. We would like to officially thank the school board for trusting us with the process and will remain invested in its advancement. And then special thanks to Mo Palmer, who you wouldn't believe what this woman can do, but she is an organizational wizard and sent us emails with follow-up notes and did all of these amazing things that sort of like kept us going and made our work more efficient. So thank you again for listening to us, and we hope that you will decide to adopt the strategic plan refresh.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So I was the board liaison, and I almost got like emotional during these meetings because I had to tell them that we refer to that strategic plan all the time, like every aspect of every decision we make. And these people on this committee work so hard and took the time to look at the data at the meetings, but I know that people were doing stuff at home too, so that 20 hours I think was probably a little conservative. But I'm just very, very grateful because, like I said, you have just made our job so much easier by letting us know what the community wants and needs from our district. Because obviously, if we're listening to them, hopefully they'll keep supporting us, which is extremely beneficial. I want to thank Steve Schrader and Brad Sarin, who can't be here tonight. They were amazing in the respect that I know Steve's a former board member, Brad is a superintendent, and there was no pushing of anything. It was all these ideas. You guys could do this, you could do this, you could do this. And I have no idea. Maybe they thought our ideas were dumb, but they would never have let us know that. They did great on giving us different paths, but letting us make the decisions. I love how this committee would ask me about questions, what we would use for the board, but I was never guiding, and they didn't expect me to guide, which was nice. It was nice to just sit back. And they took charge, they were amazing. But the whole process, and again, Steve and Brad were involved in the last one, and that's why we thought, well, you know, it was nice because they knew the first process, so they could kind of help us with this one, but at the same time, did that perfect balance of leading us without pushing us a certain way, and keeping us on track for the most part, because there were some talkers at the meeting, you know, there's a few of us that like to talk a little bit. But this was just a great, it makes me more and more proud to be part of Lodi, just seeing you guys do it. And I also want to say sorry, that the people involved were asked, they did not have to do this. And I think we only had one person turn us down, and it wasn't because he didn't want to be there, he literally just didn't have time. And he knew that he couldn't devote the time that we needed. So I just think that says a ton about our community, and I appreciate the board. We scoped out and tried to reach as many different people as possible, and I think we did pretty good, from my opinion, so, but thank you guys.
Based on the outcome,
Yeah, yeah, so it was just a really awesome process to see, and I was very honored to be part of it, so thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
You did.
So,
I didn't know it was gonna be like that, but.
are we at the point where we can make a motion?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Strategic Plan Refresh Committee, who was inspired by the community, and adopt the strategic plan for the school district of Lodi as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sarah Ramish, second by Terry. Any more discussion?
I wanna just say one thing. We got a better product from our community members than we could have gotten had we brought in a professional company to do this. And I think it's the passion that everybody brought to the project, so thank you. I was more than impressed by the final product, and as Heather and the rest of the board would say, this will help us with moving the district forward. So I think it's important that you hear how appreciative the board is, knowing the time commitment that everyone made. But the final product, guys, in my opinion, you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So thank you
And
to everyone.
Emily, I love the bubbles.
I think that's what
I mean, it's so, it's easy to
Well,
read,
even
it
district
feels
partners
like,
with
it
our
just
community.
feels good.
And even what Sky said with the placement of those two at the bottom, I mean, there was a lot, yes,
Yes.
so much thought went into You can clearly tell so much thought went into
I think
it.
what Terry's trying to say is, we have to refer, we have to know it, we have to like reiterate it, and the other one, we got in trouble. We would have trouble reading those columns, whereas this one is much easier to just reiterate out.
And it
so,
works like my
thank you.
brain.
I'm kind of excited to see how these things are going to actually like be put into motion in all the, like in the classroom and, you know, whether.
Well, and a lot of them are already in motion.
I was gonna say, I
Many
think that-
things are in motion, it's just, again, to keep it going, which is
Oh, yeah,
what
of
we're
course,
hearing,
but-
is what people want.
But there's some new, like kind of new ways that this has been brought forward. I mean, with the career preparedness and all of that, so I'm excited.
Well, and even, yeah, with that, I mean, there's people in this room, Coach Pauls is one, Mr. Jelinik's one, Mr. Pertzborn, I mean, Mr. Breinig, Dr. Breinig was the principal, Mr. Potter. I mean, everybody, even Diana Carls, everybody in this room touched, was a part of my kid's success. And there were people, one of Coach Pauls's assistant coaches knew that, one of my kids knew that college was not for him. He got him into the trades, and he is now a master electrician at 25 years old. I mean, I tell people all the time, Lodi, we are in this little bubble, this special place, and it's amazing. Yeah, this bubble. So,
I told
thank
you
you,
guys were
everybody.
getting excited. You guys all thought I was, these are my people up here.
One thing I just want to say is, again, thank you so much to the committee, thanks to the board, first of all, for trusting your community to do this, because I think as was stated, not every board does that, so that takes a lot of trust to like hand that off and then not be involved. Right, and this has been a 9-month process that this has taken. So first of all, thank you the committee for all the time and energy you took, and thanks to the community members who gave their information. I know sometimes when you looked at those slides, it was like, well, 200 people, and that was just 200 people. That, we only had 100 people show up for the first strategic planning, so we had more input than we had last time. And then how is this gonna be implemented, right? It will be used by the board to make decisions, as you were talking about. We implemented through a balanced scorecard system. We will not change our balanced scorecards in the middle of a school year, right? We're in the process of that right now, and we have vital measures we're working on to the end of the school year, but it will drive our scorecard building next spring and into the next school year. So you'll see this really come to fruition as we start walking the next school year. And obviously, at the board level, when we're starting making bigger decisions, we'll be obviously referencing this very often. So it's very important to help. It's a gift that we give from our community, the gift of priorities. As a superintendent, I can't ask for a better thing, right? I don't have to guess what the board is, the community's asking me to do. They told me, right? And the board doesn't have to guess, and the board knows what they can hold me and my administrative team accountable to. This is what we're gonna be working on. It also gives us focus, right? Because there's so many other things we could be doing. This allows us to focus in on these areas of priority. So, I just appreciate everybody's involvement in this process. And I again appreciate Steve and Brad and their work as well and helping guide the process, I think is.
And an
you said
outside
it-
source was perfect.
You said it very well. They were very patient. They didn't push anything, and
Yeah.
let everybody go through those, as they would like to say, we don't have a horse in the race. We're just trying to help you through this
Yeah.
process. So it was great.
No, the whole process was awesome. I appreciate everybody involved immensely. Okay, yes,
Yep.
sorry, we have a motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Oh,
I came through, Teresa.
sorry, we got you got me. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you,
So as I
guys.
mentioned before, we have a couple more taking positive steps for service awards to our members who work so hard and diligently to do this. So I asked them to come up and get their Erica, Sky, and some people couldn't obviously be here tonight. Use your payment. Okay. Instead of $100,000.
Oh, it's
I
gluten-free.
know, I know.
Thank you.
Anna's here. Thank you. Yeah. David Pulls.
Yeah, that's right.
David Pulls.
David.
David
back in the back room
Talking like
chit-chatting.
always.
Come on, Manette, come on up and get.
Sir? Thank you, sir.
The only thing I'm
Thank you.
shocked about is we didn't
And
hear
we're
you
gonna have you guys
talking.
take a
I didn't know you
picture.
whispered.
Diana Carls, Emily Denbarge. Emily. Thank you.
Hey, we should all.
Diana Carls, Heather Barron.
Okay.
I'm donating this back to the school.
Heather Barron.
Oh, sure.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna take a picture of the whole board. Who has a motion to just carry?
All right. Do we need a tall person over there? Okay. Okay, are we here?
Okay, nobody's
Yeah, I've
holding.
got it.
We can't have two people.
We look good.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
We're so proud of you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, don't trip here.
I know, sorry.
Look out, Sarah.
In the future, I'll try to remember.
You guys aren't staying?
All right.
Just stay till bedtime's over.
Yeah, see?
Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And we do not have public input.
No public input?
Nope.
Okay. All right, we are going to go through consent agenda items. We have our minutes. We have vouchers. We have fundraiser request, Athletic Booster Club, Boys and Girls Varsity Basketball, Santa Project, Athletic Booster Club, Rock the Gym, and, oh, that's it, right? Yes. Fundraiser reports, lots. Thank you, community, for supporting. Volleyball, Gilda's Club and cookie dough sales, tennis snap fundraiser, senior class powder puff game, boys soccer, clothing upcharge and alumni game, football entertainment card sales. Thank you, thank you. We do not have any field trip request. We have our curriculum committee is a girls hockey co-op change. We have fall sports season summary, Wednesday activity request for track and field, school safety assessments, and renewal of boys hockey co-op. Retirements, executive assistant to superintendent, primary school reading specialist, and head boys soccer coach. Under co-curricular, we have middle school girls basketball coach, head varsity baseball coach, assistant mock trial advisor, volunteer girls/boys wrestling coach, and volunteer boys wrestling coach. Under community program crew, we have a volleyball supervisor add-on. Regular staff, extension of full-time high school STEAM/English teacher through 25-26 school year. Long-term substitute physical education teacher, long-term substitute third grade teacher, and special education assistant increase from level 2 to a level 3 pay. Under personnel, leave without pay request, we have 4 of them. And that is it for consent agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the approval of the crew volleyball supervisor Rebecca Hogan.
I'll second that. Motion by Terry, second by Sarah Ripp. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm going to abstain from voting. Motion passed 6-0. All right, we have our administrative reports, and we're going to start with Lodi Primary School.
Good evening. So a couple of things to highlight. We have our winter concert this Friday, so everyone is welcome to come. Grade 1 will be at 12:20, kindergarten at 1:05, and grade 2 at 2 o'clock. As far as for Pillar 1, preparing for the future, our staff went through the November PLC, did a data dive, looking specifically at how our kids are doing with WIN. that's our intervention time, and really looking at the progress monitoring that we've been doing to kind of just check to see how they're doing since we did the fall assessment and before the winter one. And the teachers had a chance to brainstorm some other ideas to support oral reading fluency and some things they're going to be doing to support their kids. One of the big things was Sue Chambers shared this graph that they could start doing with their students to help motivate them and do some goal setting with that. So there was work that they were working on. Pillar 2, we completed the student glimpse, and one of the questions that we had a lot of students flag on was, I have things that I worry a lot about. This is just something that we've seen increase over the years, and so we're trying to brainstorm things like tier 1 that we can support our students with. So our PBS team is really diving into this at a deeper level. Obviously, there's certain students that, you know, we have identified and are working and have things, supports in place, but more as just a general way we want to help support our kids in understanding what do you do if you're worried about things, and what is an appropriate amount of worry, what is something that's more excessive, and just helping them with some of that language and things. And then for pillar 3, we had our Veterans Day program. Emma Saig did an amazing job with our second graders, leading them in some different songs. We had Mrs. Hall and the Cub Scouts from Poinet. We had some students that were able to lead the posting of the colorful, how do you say that? Colors, yeah. Thank you, sorry. I didn't have it on this one here. And then we actually had a couple of parents that were able to do some speaking and sharing about their experience. So, those are the highlights I have.
Thank you. And next is our student report.
Yeah, so in the fall, 14 high school students went to Germany as a part of our exchange program for 2 weeks. This was an amazing opportunity, and a special thanks to Mr. Myers, Mr. Kittleson, and Ms. Walsh for making this trip possible. The next thing is the Santa Breakfast. The annual Santa Breakfast took place on Saturday, November 29th and Sunday, November 30th. Interact Club members were volunteering at this event, and funds were given to Reach Out Lodi and the Cat Legion for Veterans. So there's some pictures of some of the boys shoveling, because it was a very snowy day, and then, of course, some of the members inside. As was previously mentioned, all of our winter music concerts our music programs in all schools have been working very hard and are ready to perform. The concerts have been on the 4th and the 5th, and will be on the 10th, 11th, and 16th. The high school music concert has a special feature where Lodi alumni and community members are welcome to join the chorus on stage to sing Handel's Hallelujah Chorus. Practice tracks and music can be found at that link.
Did you hear that? There's practice tracks, so you guys can all participate.
And then we had the Holly Jolly Trivia Night. Our National Honor Society put on the Holly Jolly Trivia Night on December 6th, and teams of up to 4 put their holiday knowledge to the test for prizes.
I wonder who won that.
I don't know, so a certain mother-daughter duo with a couple friends in the district.
Congratulations.
Did you win?
Not me.
Oh, me.
Emily.
Oh, okay.
Of course Emily did. You know, Emily. Emily.
Yes.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you for the awesome
Thanks for
report,
coming
like
out for the
always.
students.
Lodi Elementary and OSC.
Oh, thank you. First of all, just want to give a thank you out to Ms. Roberts and Ms. Saig for all their work on our winter concert last Friday, and obviously to the community for their amazing support of our students, not just on their learning, but for concerts as well. So, wanted to highlight the gratitude as we think about this holiday season, and this was just a little bit of our community coming together with some food drive for Reach Out Lodi, and so these are some students who were able to help highlight all that got donated at our school before we took it over to Reach Out Lodi. So, also I took some pictures of recent posts of all the copying kinds is the top right picture from this year so far. Well, not all of them, but some of them. And then also our coffee cart and just how amazing our community is for the support that they give to our staff. And it might seem like a small gesture, but it means so much and is so perfectly timed every month. And then also OSC had their mini projects presentations the other day, and 5th grade got to have a new experience going to oh my goodness, why can't I think the name of it right now? Spring Green area, the architecture guy.
Frank Later.
There it is, Frank Later,
Italian.
thank you.
Italian.
And got to experience a lot about, which connected to their literacy unit that they were studying. Also just assessments, as we think about Pillar 1 as well. Staff and I and Nick actually have been digging deep into our forward results and other assessment results. And it's just such a good reminder to think about that as we look at those results that either challenge or confirm what we should already know, that we should be able to know and identify the students that are producing those results, and that should be driving our practice going forward. And then also student supports. I think that as you think about our results and how we do as a school, it's so important to think about how we're setting kids up for success. And so these are just highlighting some of the things that we do to help students feel like they belong and that they're able to be successful in our learning environment. So obviously our community values, our universal expectations, our behavior plan, take a break spaces, morning meeting and closing circle, social emotional learning instruction, and our team, SSI team.
Awesome, nice.
Thank you.
I like your graphic too, Eric.
Yeah, that's Tekla Nemo, so.
Oh, wow, okay.
Thank you. Lodi Middle School.
All right, good evening, board. So for Pillar 1, preparing for the future, we are gonna start our iReady diagnostic testing actually tomorrow. And this is actually a change from when it normally is. Normally it occurs more like in January, mid to late January, but that was coinciding with quite a few different benchmark assessments. And our staff, as we talked about it, we just felt like we wanted to spread it out a little bit, and we just thought, let's move it before Christmas, before that busy time at the end of the quarter, when there's benchmark assessments, when they're worried about the end of the quarter. But we're excited to see how our students are doing and celebrate all the growth that they've had, and we'll be sending home reports to families as soon as they're done. And then the next 3 sections are really just science, blended agriculture, run by Michelle Howe. Just a reminder, that's run in the morning. That's outside of school. She runs some different things during the summer. She does some field trips, but in the morning, one of the things they have is their tower garden, and it makes lettuce. We actually eat at lunch every single day, which is awesome. Want to go down to Pillar 2, nurturing the whole child, and just highlight our Student of the Month process. So these 4 students were highlighted for the month of October for effort. And you can see their pictures. Those are actually yard signs that go home with them. They also get a Lodi Middle School t-shirt. And new this year, they get a token to the book vending machine, which has been a huge hit for our middle school students. We actually just had a Pride Pass drawing today for 8th grade lunch, and the kids are just eyeing up the books that they can get. So that's been a really huge addition for our culture of reading and also just celebrating students. 7th grade students went to the school forest. They participated in a variety of activities, and throughout the year we'll have a variety, I don't know if every grade level goes, but we have a lot of different activities that happen out there, which is a great opportunity for our students. In 8th grade in life skills, Brian Bauer is our teacher for that. He collaborates with an organization called Hope House, and they come in and they teach our class about healthy and unhealthy relationships, which is really a good foundation for them of creating boundaries within their relationship, recognizing signs of abuse, and really just the foundation of, this relationships get more complicated as you get older, and trying to help them navigate those different things. I'm gonna go to, if you keep going there, I just threw some Halloween pictures in there just because they're awesome. The best combination costume I've ever had in my time at Lodi Middle School was the top right Scooby-Doo costume. Was just unbelievable to see in person. They had all the characters from Scooby-Doo, and that was my favorite costume by far. But there was lots of awesome costumes. These are a lot of the group costumes, so I picked those out. Pillar 3, we have awesome events every single year at middle school, and this has happened since before I came, but it's kind of expanded. Our 6th grade has always brought in veterans, but now our 7th grade brings in veterans, and a lot of those veterans are right here from Lodi in our community, and they come in and students rotate through 5 or 6 different speakers that are veterans to tell them about their experience and to share their stories, and it's a really great way for us to honor these veterans, but it's also a really great way for us to learn about them and help them feel valued, because we do value all they've done for our country. Next thing, Lodi Middle School, we had a candy drive. So Michelle Howe got what is it called? Lodi Valley Dental. It's a partner, which I think is awesome, that Lodi Valley Dental, they donate $1 for every single pound of Halloween candy
That is a
that
lot of
we
candy.
get, and I think it's awesome that Lodi Valley Dental, because that would be causing cavities otherwise. So,
Yeah.
it's
You think
one way,
they
but
would?
this candy drive is for our troops, and these are all sent overseas to our troops, and just a great way to save our teeth and also show some appreciation for the people in our service. And then district workforce, I'm gonna highlight over this year, I wanna highlight just some different teams that we have. And this month I'm highlighting the math team, and I wanted to highlight more than one, but when I asked all the teams to send me pictures, they're the only ones that sent it, so this is the only one that we get this month, so. But I just wanna acknowledge our math team for all the work they've done, so we are on our 4th year of implementing Ready Math and trying to build a system that gets the most out of our students. And part of that process is what has helped us do really well is something called the professional learning community, and that's really about our staff getting together and growing together. And that's really been a huge structure and a huge amount of time and effort where they get together and they get to learn from each other. And we have awesome staff members in all of our school, but this I wanted to highlight our math department. And they're highlighted because they sent me the picture. So I will have different pictures next month, hopefully.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Lodi High School.
All right, thanks, board. First of all, Senior Reality Day, I'm not gonna talk a lot about that because I did explain a little bit of what they did with Christy. One thing I did wanna mention though is you can see the picture of all the volunteers, the people that showed up, community members. Also, our students were surveyed, 46 students responded to the survey. And I just wanted to read one response because I think it's hilarious. What is one thing you would change for next year's event? Personalize the family stuff so that people can more closely simulate the life they wanna live. Let people choose if they wanna have kids, so that way the people who already know they don't wanna have kids don't have to suffer. That was my favorite answer. And there were a lot of comments, actually about the daycare provider and how expensive it was. So I thought it was very interesting for our students to see that. So anyways, and again, a big thank you to all the volunteers and the staff members that were part of that. Oh, that was great. And then the 9th grade energy audit, which you just learned about, so I won't talk about that much. And I just want to reiterate the efforts of Michael Radloff and Leo Olson. LHS musical, The Descendants. So hopefully you had an opportunity to go see that. There were over 1,800 tickets sold for 4 performances, Sunday, November 16th being the most attended. There were 62 students involved, 41 cast, 17 crew, and 4 in the pit orchestra. And then there's a list of adults that were involved. I'm not gonna read every single one of their names. You know who Erica Bardwell is. She presented tonight, so she's the director and countless other responsibilities that she has. And then you see a lot of the other adults. And obviously the students make it happen on stage, but without the support of many of the parents that help with the concessions and bring items in so they can raise money. And then all the other people, they make it an amazing event. So I appreciate all of them. And then of course all the students. And then there's a photo link on the bottom that you can go and see all the pictures that were taken by Audrey Popper, if you wanna take a look at them.
It's just so amazing that is such high quality stuff, right? Not just the scenery, but the acting and the singing, and it's just I can't believe that we have that in Lodi.
It compares to like some of the D1 schools,
Oh,
bigger
yeah.
schools, I think. I also wanna thank, I didn't put this in there, but ETC providing all the lights that they do.
Yes.
And some of the
Makes a huge
special effects that you might see, we have a very good relationship with them, and Jason Marshall, who is our PAC director, works with them to get everything ready. There are over $140,000 worth of lights that they let us use for free.
Yeah. And that's obvious too. I mean, not obvious, but it just makes it so incredible.
No, I'm gonna recommend we have a dance pit though for these shows. My 5-year-old could not sit in her seat. No, she had like she was getting her groove on, like, and I think she was annoying the people, but because she was like swaying, I mean, trying to do all the moves. But I bumped actually into Vince's daughter at the coffee shop when I told her, I said, she goes, oh, no, we love the kids that wanna dance and like in the audience, but I think the other adults around us did not like it, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Make a little mosh pit.
I may have gotten a text during an intermission, one of the shows, about the 2 leads coming out in taking pictures with two little girls who are dressed just like them.
That's
So the high school kids were like making sure that those little kids stayed around so they could take pictures.
Okay.
And they were awesome, so.
That's great.
Emily-
Disney's Descendants is made for the kids, so
Yeah.
anytime that they were dancing and you could see them, it was just a joy for all of us.
Cool, okay.
You guys wanna talk about it some more? You good? That's awesome. Okay, we have talented kids on the stage, we also have talented kids on our athletic field, so the next one is NCAA signing day. So we do offer 4 opportunities during the school year, and recently seniors Gracie Clary and Addison Young had an opportunity, with their parents, friends, and family. Let me see here, Gracie will be playing volleyball at Winona State University, and Addison will be playing soccer at the University of Duluth, and you can see their parents, and with Addison, her brother, enjoying them. So it was a great opportunity for them. We're very excited that they're taking their talents, not just in the classroom, but also on the field and on the court to the next level. Emily mentioned the German exchange, so I want to talk about that. You can see our Students of the Month. And again, our Students of the Month aren't just recognized by our teachers, but they also write them a really nice thank you note and give it to the students. So that's something that's been new the last couple of years, which I think is pretty special. Just recently, congratulations to 27 juniors and seniors that were inducted into the Lodi High School National Honor Society. It says a lot about everything that they do at school and out in the community as far as service that prepares them to be members. You can see the names of the newest members in that picture are our current and newest members. And then I also want to thank NHS advisor Andy Heimerman for organizing the event. As always, you can see Lodi area photography, and that is Audrey Parpart. Click on them, click on that link, and you can see all the pictures related to athletics and other events. And then the Thanksgiving broadcast, take a look at that. It's very funny. It's over 9 minutes long, I think, but so take the time to look at that, and I appreciate everything they do in writing for publication. So that's the high school.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Curriculum.
On November 11th, there was a lot going on in the district. You had a variety of Veterans Day activities happening. Also that day was the release of the school and district accountability report cards. So in my world, there was just a lot of things happening. And as I unpacked the school and district accountability report cards, it suddenly got very exciting, and we were starting to see some historic results for Lodi. But if you were to ask me at the end of the day, you know, what was the best thing that happened during your day? It was when I was at the primary school Veterans Day event that morning, and I get a little emotional even thinking about it right now. Like, our veterans being able to talk to our young students and just share a little bit about their stories with them was absolutely phenomenal. And near the end, we have a new second grade teacher, Caitlin Mathwig, at the primary school. Not only she's a fabulous teacher, but her husband is currently serving in the Army overseas, and he taped about 2-minute video that they played over the big screen for the students, and she was able to share that with me, and I've linked it here for you. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I would encourage you to do so. He speaks directly to our students and touches on Lodi pride and all the characteristics that make our unique small town great that he carries with him as he's off serving, and really touched me, and I hope you take a chance to watch it. A little bit about the school accountability report cards. I'll touch base on that in a bit, but there's a nice graphic that Mo Palmer put together, and I want to just, this next part of my board report is just highlighting people behind the scenes that are doing some great work. So Mo Palmer put this graphic together. She did a wonderful job. On the second page, there's all kinds of things happening in our district that just takes people with a certain level of expertise to do these jobs. So you've got Jen Morgan is doing our access testing that starts here in December. Jill Lincoln in our district office, she's doing the district Y staff report, which is a very in-depth report that takes her months to go through every year to then submit and be reviewed by the Department of Public Instruction. Same thing with Chris Carls. She does a very in-depth annual WISE data student snapshot report that is incredibly important for a host of services that we then gain access to or funding, etc. And then a big thank you also to Elise Kearney, who spent time unpacking ACT practice results and pre-ACT practice results with our students. So it's not just that we give an assessment, but then we also turn around and we're able to be responsive to that. So just some things going on behind the scenes.
Thank you. LCAT report.
All righty. So, school board LCAT report. Brian worked with a student at the high school who has violated the school substance use policy. The Prime for Life program uses research-based information in a non-judgmental environment to teach students how to identify their values and protect them by making safer choices concerning alcohol and other substance use. So Brian is involved with that little person. The November LCAT meeting was held on November 19th, 2025. Brian and Sarah provided a follow-up on the possible alternative location for the Lodi Community National Night Out, which will be held in August of 2026. Road work down here on our normal streets is why we're looking for a new spot. Brian, and we have a couple looked at, we're just kind of going through which is going to work out the best for everyone involved. Brian and Sarah provided a detailed map to the group outlining where everything would be located on each site. Feedback was provided by the coalition members, and a decision will be made soon concerning this event. There is no LCAT meeting in December. Brian will be teaching how to recognize the signs and symptoms of an opiate overdose and how to administer Narcan to the seniors, the 12th grade students. Brian will also talk to the students about the One Pill Can Kill campaign and how dangerous prescription medication can be if it is not taken properly or if it doesn't belong to you. This training is a life skill that is valuable for our 12th graders to have prior to attending college or going out into the workforce. This is part of our bubbles. Yes, they really are in there. Yep. Brian conducted a Narcan training at Reach Out Lodi in November. Staff members from Reach Out Lodi, school staff, and community members attended. 6 people were trained at the event. LCAT is excited to announce that we are sponsoring a special guest speaker event for parents, caregivers, and community members on Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Ricky Barton, a certified prevention specialist with over 16 years of experience in the prevention field, will present on a dangerous intersection, social media, substance use, and mental health. This information session will be available both virtually and in person. Well, that's nice. The presentation will also be recorded and uploaded to the school's YouTube channel so it can be watched at your convenience. Brian and Sarah will be hosting a watch party at the elementary school that evening. A save the date flyer will be coming soon. The event is funded by the grant from the Alliance for Wisconsin Youth. Yeah, those 3 things are not good together, so this should be good. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Student services.
Heather. This past Wednesday, we had 24 students in grades 8 through 12 attend a field trip at Madison College. Through our post-secondary planning, these students have identified that they had interest in the trades and apprenticeship programs I offered at Madison College. So students were able to tour the Truex and Commercial Avenue campuses, learn more about HVAC, welding, bricklaying, plumbing, among other things. They were also able to meet with 3 of the instructors and learn more about the resources that are offered to students with disabilities at the Disability Resource Department. Thanks to Adora Bilsey and Dave Pols for their work to organize this event for our students. Next, the Lodi School District applied for and received funding through the Healthy Life Initiative grant through Sauk Prairie Healthcare. The focus of this grant is to be prepared for emergency situations. You may know that all of our classrooms already have what are called stay buckets with emergency supplies. If you have to stay within the classroom for an extended amount of time, this grant money is going to be used to equip all of our classroom with go bags. So go bags would be needed if we need to leave the classroom quickly to respond to some sort of emergency situation. And you can see there all of the supplies that will be purchased through this grant money to be able to have go bags in all of our classrooms. And finally, thanks to the Lodi community for their generosity during the Stuff the Turkey drive. As Eric mentioned, this event really did start at the primary and elementary school, but also expanded to the middle school and the high school. Each of the buildings collected those essentials, including food items, personal care, and essential clothing during the month of November. And then all of those donations were taken to Reach Out Lodi prior to Thanksgiving. A shout out to Neil Reibel for picking up all of those items from each of our school buildings and taking them over to Reach Out Lodi.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, our district administrator report.
Yeah, I just have a couple things. One, I just want to highlight again the school accountability report cards. Nick's going to talk about those briefly, but just want to, again, thank the board for putting the resources where they need to for the curriculum that we've added for the last few years, the training that we've done with staff, and also thank our community for providing the resources so we can implement the strategic plan that we have to do those things, and that's the results that we get. And again, thank our staff and students and families for all the great work they do. As Ben mentioned, we have some upcoming winter concerts, so that's been covered. I'm not going to go into that more. And then finally, just all our school buildings, including district office, will be closed starting after school on Tuesday, December 23rd through Friday, January 2nd to the holiday break.
All right, thank you. President report. Well, I've never been a bragger, but there's a first time for everything. The state report cards have come out, and this is just a few of the accomplishments of the Lodi School District. We were the highest scoring district in both Columbia and Dane counties and scored the highest in CESA 5. Yes, Lodi got the best score in the area. Lodi School District got a score of significantly exceeding expectations and received its highest score to date, ranking 19th out of 400 districts in the state. Lodi's achievement score was in the top 19% in the state, math and reading combined. Our district report card highlights the 6th highest target group outcome score in the state. And just so that's more clear, the target group outcomes area focuses on how we serve students from Lodi who performed in the bottom 4th on state assessments the prior school year. And the district growth rate was 3rd in the state, math and reading combined. And these are just a few of the amazing highlights of our report card. Please don't hesitate to look at our website for more detailed information. I know not everyone puts much stock in these report cards, but the results are reflecting so much more than what the scores are showing. Behind these scores are all the numerous ways that our teachers and staff are supporting our kids with different learning styles, individual ways of support, and unique ways of motivating and reaching our students. Everyone knows that all kids are not the same. They all respond and learn in various ways and succeed in all different aspects. Lodi prides itself on constantly finding new and innovative ways to give our students the best education and experiences possible to fit their personal needs. I feel that our district is a perfect mix of being big enough to offer many opportunities while still being small enough to not just be a number. I just hope that our whole community knows that they are the ones responsible for this amazing report card. Without the community's financial and non-financial support, our district would not be where it is today. With the community's support, our teachers are able to be the best teachers and mentors to our students. And with everyone's support, our students are getting the attention, support, motivation, and drive to do their best. I hope everyone feels a part of these accomplishments, and I think I can speak for the entire district that we are so appreciative and grateful for all of the support. It really does take a village, and Lodi is proof of that. I wish everyone a safe, joyous, gracious, and wonderful holiday season, and a Happy New Year. All right, and now we will talk about the district and school accountability report cards.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn this over to Nick, but first
Not
of
to
all,
brag again, but.
one of the things I do want to share, though, is one of the things we have to remember when we talk about state report cards is it doesn't capture everything.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't highlight our incredible art and music programs, our time we spent building relationships with each other, with morning meetings, our advisories, our innovative STEAM programming, our exchange programs, and all those different other things that we see and are highlighted each and every board meeting by our administrators. So while it's very important and we celebrate it, we also have a lot of other things that we celebrate that we do very well and meet the needs of kids that aren't reflected in those scorecards. But I'm going to turn it over to Nick to have him talk give a little deeper dive.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look on board docs, you're going to see each of our school accountability report cards and then our district accountability report card attached. And so you're welcome to go in there and take a look at those, take a little deeper dive. There's really 4 key areas when you're talking about the report cards, and I can touch on those very briefly in a moment, but a few years ago, I would stand up here and I would put up one of those report cards and I'd analyze it and I'd dig in deeper, and it would take quite a while in front of the board and the community. And then one of the board members said, "Hey, Nick, why don't you just create a video doing that? And that way, at any time, anybody, if they want to go in and they want to learn a little bit about how the school and district accountability report cards are constructed, any slight tweaks that maybe were made to it from the year prior, we can do that. And so that's the process that we follow now. We put these on our website. You can find them under the curriculum and instruction page. There'll be a video from me, and it will walk you through how the report card is constructed from the district level to the school level, and it also will highlight any slight changes. So that video is attached here for you as well, so that's gonna save everybody here time. You can watch the video if you'd like, and I won't stand in front of you doing that right now. But really there's 4 key areas where they take a look at. They look at achievement, they look at growth, target group outcomes like we heard before, and on track to graduation. And to be honest, as a district, we've grown in each of those areas over the past 5 years, and we're now sitting in a place where if you compare us statewide in each of those areas, we sit really well, right? We have one of the highest growth scores in the state of Wisconsin for public school districts. Our achievement is in the top 19% of districts statewide. How we serve our students who fall in that bottom quartile from the year before is in the 98th percentile, I believe. I have to go back and double check that, but it's right up there. So we are continuing to see really that we're on a great trajectory as measured by these report cards. But if we step back and we take a look at it, and tonight we heard about the strategic plan refresh, and that first time that we got the strategic plan, we heard pretty clearly from our community that they wanted to see continued focus on core academics, and our board in turn made some investments in professional development, in updated resources, etc. And I do believe that we're starting to see those things come to fruition and seeing the results that we have. So it's very positive. We have some very noteworthy pieces to that, as Heather hit on, and you can see in our graphic kind of all of those highlighted as well. But a big thank you to our teachers. They have worked extremely hard and continue to work extremely hard in collaborative units for students in this district and families in this district.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you. Appreciate it. We have energy efficiency presentation, and thank you guys for sitting through.
So the district's been working with Upper 90, who have been here, who learned a lot about our district today, to increase energy efficiency and reduce long-term operational costs. As the board may recall, Upper 90 recently partnered with our SAPS Club to upgrade high school gym with LED lighting and high-efficiency fans, which resulted in some grant funding coming back into the district and some savings. Over the past several months, the administration met with Upper 90 to review additional energy-saving options. From that work, 3 projects were brought forward to the Facility and Finance Committee for deeper discussion over the last few months. Electric data submetering, HVAC retro-commissioning, and solar arrays. So I will turn this over to Ben, Mario, and Adam from Upper 90 to review the information that has been shared with our Facility and Finance Committee over the last few months. So just a reminder, our Facility and Finance Committee has had a lot of time. They've spent a lot of time reviewing this, asking questions, asking following questions, asking them to bring more information back. We've also conducted some background checks as well with a couple other districts who've been using Upper 90, have done some solar and some other things, real positive results. So just some of those things as we walk through that, the board will be asking a lot of those same questions again to Upper 90, so you guys be ready to hear some of the same questions because our community's watching. But just as our community knows too, that we've spent a lot of time on this and had lots of conversation with it. So I'm gonna turn it over to you 3 to share the information.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we could just,
Yeah.
has everyone else gone up to the board?
Yeah.
Me too, so.
We'll pull up the documents here.
I know we printed off some stuff too.
Yeah, if you want to share it to the board, feel free.
Want me to hand it out, Mara?
Sure.
Right, yeah.
I just want to piggyback off of what you said, Dr. Breiting, for the people who are watching or will be watching. As one of the 3 on the Facility and Finance Committee, we spent a lot of time with these gentlemen and this whole subject for the last 2 months. So that's really where a lot of the discussion.
Yeah, last month it was an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of time.
This month we were well over an hour.
Great.
Yeah.
So thanks for handing that out, Ben, and I'll just
kind of, in the essence of time, just get started again. Good evening, thanks for having us here. My name is Mario Melanzi with Upper 90. I'm joined this evening by my colleagues Adam and Ben, and we're here to just, I guess, present the items that we mentioned as far as the facility and energy efficiency projects. I'm just gonna start with the top items, those first two items, and then the rest of the line items on there are for the proposed solar projects. Okay? So the first line item there is called electric data submetering, and this proposed project is being proposed district-wide at all district facilities. And what we're doing here is, actually this is related to some of the work that was shown previously by the energy efficiency, or the 9th grade, the students. It's actually another piece of software that allows that submetering for you to, instead of just being able to see what's going on, we're actually going to be able to identify where in the building that energy is being drawn from. So instead of just saying, hey, there's this spike here, let's try to figure it out, you'll actually know where that's coming from. Some of the benefits for that project, the real main one is being able to target your peak demand charges from your electric utility. So you guys mentioned some previous opportunities. This solution will really allow you to, day in and day out, investigate, where those peaks are coming from. With the service comes a monthly report, meeting with Neil and their team, to say, what are the top 3 to 5 things that we can target this month. As the temperatures outside change, it's different things to target in that. Okay?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that those reports, it would be easy for the students if they want to be involved in those meetings or see those reports, so it's easy for us to replicate that for them to be involved. Obviously, they've shown a lot of interest in that. I know I was getting some emails from Leo, and he was emailing Neil and I asking about some of this stuff. How do we update this? How can we fix this? So it'd be easy to share those reports with the students as well.
It was also eye-opening to figure out how we were charged for electricity, and it's still confusing, so could you talk about what you just talked about in a little more detail?
Yeah.
Where the amount of money comes from that they charge us?
You bet. So, in simplest terms, and I'm certainly no utility expert, but peak demand charging on commercial rates is essentially charging a commercial customer for the amount of electricity, the demand that you're going to be using at any peak given time in 15-minute intervals. So what that means is the utility is essentially reserving that amount of power in case you need it 15 minutes from now, and 15 minutes from now, and so on and so forth, okay? So they're charging you for them the ability to deliver that power to you as a customer. That charge is applied, for 12 months, 365 days, and the only time you're set to lower that is from 12 months from that date, okay? You, of course, can raise it tomorrow or the next 15 minutes from there. And the reason this is important is because electricity is regulated in the state of Wisconsin by the Public Service Commission. And there's a lot of public pushback around increases to those rates for on and off peak electricity. There just hasn't been as much pushback around the demand increases. So the electric utilities around the state of Wisconsin that are supplying electricity, all around the state have had gradual increases to this charge across the state. So what once was not as big of a deal is becoming a lot bigger of a problem. Maybe if you're watching the news and seeing all sorts of data center and all things like that, electricity will only become more and more important going forward. So
can I put that into real world terms? So is our highest peak demand when the AC is on in the summer?
Typically, yes.
And so then that's the rate we're charged for the rest of the year, even though we never get back up to that peak demand ever again.
Correct. Yep.
And so the goal of submetering is to lower that peak demand continuously, and then finding when that spikes up so that you can eliminate each one of those spikes individually. So in your instance, it would be not only you're in air conditioning, you might be turning on convection ovens or different electric appliances that you're using. It could be a dishwasher, different things like that. If all that turns on at the same time, that's when you get the highest peak. So we're trying to eliminate that by looking at all the HVAC equipment. Can you modulate it? Can you do different things like that to kind of lower that peak so you're not hitting such a high peak all at once?
And we're stuck with that for 1 year,
Yep.
whatever that high peak is.
Yep. So in theory, that we'll know what that is, and we won't be able to start that clock from the savings until it actually
Right.
happens, if you will. So, the other benefit is it's not this wild goose chase. I think you guys currently, with the E-Gauge program that you have, you can see that spike there, but it could be coming from lots of different places, and I'm assuming your staff don't have time to just start hunting down, you know, large electric loads. So that's where a service like this would come into place, okay? The next item there is called HVAC retro commissioning, and commissioning is a term in the construction industry where you're effectively making sure that all the equipment has been installed per the engineering design. So what happens in facilities that have been around for a long time is there's lots of adjustments along the way to not only the HVAC system, but lots of other systems in the building, plumbing and electrical being two other main ones. So in this one, for the HVAC system, what we're proposing to do is investigate the building automation and control system to identify some of these areas that have gone, not haywire, but just been adjusted over all of the years through operation, okay? And through this, normally we would allow like an allowance or a budget to start replacing some of these items. It could be all sorts of things, damaged controllers, actuators, dampers, sensors, all sorts of things that the computer says your system is functioning correctly, and out in the field, it's just not. And you're like, what's going on here? If you're getting hot and cold calls, you may be making some adjustments. The next thing you know, your system just can start to get a little bit out of whack, okay? What we're proposing with this solution is for our team to come in, identify a long laundry list of these items. We think that through that service, we are going to see some immediate, no ifs, ands, or buts about them kinds of savings opportunities, a lot of times through scheduling. And then an additional $20,000 proposed if you were to go ahead and implement some of the things that we do end up finding through there. You'd have to hire, a controls contractor, in that instance, presumably to go ahead and, they provide budgets for what those things that we find, and then you could prioritize and decide if you wanted to move forward with implementing any of those future projects.
Yeah, another thing I would add is our commission engineers looked at the buildings and looked at the utility bills, and that's where we come up with this estimate of $20,000, looking at what we see on your utility bills, talking about HVAC, we'd be looking at mainly the natural gas side of utility bills and less on electric. And so those items could be, one I always like to use like a damper, right? So if your outside air damper says it's supposed to be bringing in 10% outside air, that's all good, but you actually go to the field, look at the damper, and it's actually 20%. Well, now that HVAC unit has to work that much harder to either heat or cool that air, and there's no way to know that unless you're having a lot of cold calls or hot calls or issues, or going in to diagnose those issues. So after walking your buildings and looking at your HVAC system, we feel pretty comfortable that there's significant savings, especially on the natural gas side of things, by implementing some of those HVAC projects, that we would provide a list that would basically have a budget, budget to implement, and then a budget of savings that would go with it, so you guys could make a decision on which projects you'd want to go after or which ones you'd want to wait on, things like that.
Sounds great, thank you, Ben. Before I move on to the solar pieces, any thoughts, comments, questions on these first two proposed recommendations?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. So the next line items there are solar related. We had a separate packet related to solar. Okay, thank you. So these next line items here are all related to solar, so they are referenced in that packet that you're looking at there. And in this, we just got this up here just to sort of summarize it. With this top line item, we propose two separate mutually exclusive systems at the high school. So in the versions that you're looking at there, we've struck out that top line item, and all of the figures and the rest of, all the other materials that we're looking at are, reflective of not including that ground mount system for the high school. Okay?
Do you want to switch to this to talk through it, or do you want to go through that?
It's right up there.
Yeah. Is there any way you can just switch to the... Awesome, thank you. So just on this first page here, I've just got some market updates as well, just some things that are happening in the solar industry. The big thing is the energy tax credits. If you're familiar with in the Inflation Reduction Act, President Biden implemented, or I should say, he expanded the energy tax credits for the eligible entities to now include all public 501c3Ps, colleges, that type of thing. This stuff's been around for a long time in the commercial and industrial space, and what it's allowing you to do is take a tax credit for implementing an energy efficiency or renewable project. Not a deduction, an actual credit for it, okay? The difference, why that matters for schools, is schools don't pay federal tax, if you will. Through this program, they're able to, the schools and all those entities I just explained, are able to receive a one-time direct payment from the IRS. That payment for, this would be for solar, but it's for other renewable energy projects as well, is anywhere from 30 to 50% of the project cost, depending on where you are, what you've used to do the project, things like that, okay? Big, big change in this world. Fast forward to this current administration, and this program is set to expire at the end of 2027. And through that expiration, there are also a few rules changing along the way. Rules that are not only changing as of January 1, rules changing on when you start the construction, when you need to finish by, because remember, you know, we're talking about doing some solar projects on your school facilities. There are folks doing solar at utility scale around the country who are getting 30% rebates on some really significant projects, so their timelines and construction dates are really important for them in that regard, okay? Last piece I'll mention on this is around the design intent. So an easy question is, you know, how did you design the systems? Where do you put them? How big do you make them? So on and so forth. Just some initial design sort of facts that go into this. I did bring Adam as well from our team, sort of our designer and resident expert from a solar perspective. But some of the things to keep in mind for solar is around sizing, where as commercial entities, unlike a residential entity, in a residential side, you have an electric meter and actually goes forward and backward if you'd be producing power versus using power. In this example, we're designing these as an entirely back-fed system, meaning all the power that the systems are producing are being fed back to the building. And if there's any excess power that's being generated that your building cannot consume at that moment, that will be sold back to the utility in a wholesale rate. The reason this is important is that they don't give you as much money for giving it back to them as they charge you for buying it. It can be anywhere from a 10 to 1 ratio. I won't speak exactly what Lodi Utilities is, but it's not a great wholesale rate. What that means is we really need to be specific about how we size these systems so we don't overproduce too much energy, or it will really affect the financial performance of your investment, okay? At the same time, you don't want to make them too small, otherwise it's not really doing anything, and you're sort of limiting your upside with this tax credit that I just mentioned, okay? So sort of a sweet spot around how big we're looking to make this. I mean, it's all based on how you use energy. So if you change the way you use energy in the future, that may change how the financials of this would perform.
I have a question on the second part of that, the market update. So the credit, minimum 30%?
Yes.
Up to 50%? I mean, so you've kind of gone, so there's a possibility it could be more than 30% for the district. You're just giving us the low end.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I didn't catch that last time.
Yep, on the bonus credits are around where it is, which you can't really do much about that. You're either in these designated areas of the state or not, or the country. But the one that we can try to get is around domestic content. So there are some suppliers out there that will source materials that are made in America, and if there's a certain percentage that are, you're allowed to get a credit for that. So could go up to 40%, which would obviously really
But
affect.
for sure 30%.
Yes.
Okay.
And we would figure that out as we do final bidding, subcontractor selection, things like that. We would try to figure out that balance. You know, domestic content could cost more, so it might cost more and be cost preventative to try to get that extra tax credit, right? So we kind of work through that and balance it out what makes the most sense.
To offset that extra cost.
Yep.
Yep.
You don't want to pay 30% extra on material to then only get 10% more on.
Yep. Nope, I got it.
So for the next part, I'll go through sort of one of the scenarios at one of the buildings, just for some more detail and information, and then sort of just extrapolate for the other buildings. But before we get to that, we wanted to show the school district what it would look like if the district were to have solar for their electric expenses or not, as well as the impact of inflation over the course of a 25-year analysis, which was the time period that we looked at the solar for. So the reason we wanted to do this is because the solar, the value of that solar system, and think of it in your mind, becomes more valuable each year. And the reason is because your cost of electricity goes up every single year, okay, just normal inflation. And it's just sort of hard to wrap your mind around, but your solar becomes more valuable the higher that rate of inflation may be. So we put this graph together just to illustrate that this is what each of the facilities in your district, this is their electric expenses extrapolated over the next 25 years, both with no inflation, 3.5%, which is what we use for our analysis, and 4.5%. So you can see it's a difference of over $5 million over the course of 25 years compared between no inflation and 3.5%, and then another $2 million from there.
And I would just say we've been picking 3.5% to be kind of a conservative number. There's rate increases that are 8%, 11%, just kind of varies year by year. But we've seen, I think, over the last 20 years, I think it's been north of 4% on average, so 3.5% feels like a conservative number. When we get to some of the cash flows, you can see just in this, it's a $5 million difference over 25 years. Like Mario said, it gets significant the more that number goes up.
So presumably from a budget perspective, district budgets for utility expense increases just like other expenses across the board. So not sure what Jason puts in there, but nevertheless, it's probably something along these lines, okay? Keep going down. So then we did that same analysis if the district were to add the solar that we've proposed as part of this project. So just in the green there, without having to look at that table above, you can see the difference between those three different inflation categories with solar. So comparing these two numbers is the difference that we look at, okay? Oh, sorry, this is the reduction, sorry. So you're looking at saving $5 million if you have a 3.5% inflation over your expenses. Okay? Keep going.
I might have to zoom out again now, Mr. Potter.
Sorry, it's a lot of charts. Yeah.
They don't need the text, they just need the chart.
Well, yeah, they can look at it online too.
You can probably look at the chart if you want to just, if you want to
Okay, that's fine.
talk to it.
Yep. So in order to really understand whether or not this investment is worth it or not, I think we put together a cash flow, and really the basis of this cash flow is over a 15-year term, and what we're looking to accomplish here is to generate positive cash flow right out of the gate in year one for the school district. But from a budgetary perspective, of course, there's many different options that you would have. This is just one way that we propose this project, okay? So in order to do that, we've done a couple of things. We've extended the term out 15 years from a financing standpoint. If you were to go for a 5-year term, of course, your payments would be more, okay? So what we're looking to do is lower that annual payment such that we can either become lower than or match what your solar system is generating for you on a yearly basis. So the first thing we did was extend the term out 15 years. The next thing that we did was apply that tax credit I referenced to the principal payment right away in year one. So of course, what that's doing is basically re-amortizing that loan over that term, okay? Through a few other factors around installation and when your first payment is due from the financier, we're looking at being able to generate some positive cash flow right away in year one. In 2026, you would have no payment from them, and if you install the project halfway through the year, you're gonna generate half a year's worth of electric savings. This is where that line item of 45,000 under that column net in year 2026, that's where that comes from. The next year in 2027, you would be making your first payment, okay? And your first payment, if you can see under lease payments, is $171,000 in this example. And your solar system on all the buildings is $158,000. So if you go over to that net column, you can see that you're $12,000 in the red, if you will, okay? If you follow that same track for year 2028 and 2029, as the solar system becomes more valuable through your inflationary cost of electricity, you start to match and exceed what that annual payment is, okay? Not only that, you could also use that initial year one surplus to cover some of those expenses as well, okay?
And with the first column, the utility bill savings, you've also included in there inflation, like rate increases.
We've included 3.5% inflation. We've also included degradation of the panels. So those panels, every year will get a little less efficient. We'll be able to produce a little less electricity, and so we've included that as well in that calculation. Yep.
Yeah, the goal is to be conservative in this example, right? Just like any financial analysis, you've been making sure that we're conservative. So I think we've taken a conservative inflation rate, conservative degradation rate. So after those 15 years, not only does that system produce positive cash flow through there, but then of course in years 10 through 25, that's when the district is really starting to be able to reap the benefits of this investment. You're looking at $240,000 per year, okay?
I think the key though too is year 5, I mean, there's only 3 years where you're in the red.
Correct.
Because it's already being, we talked about this at Facility and Finance, we're already budgeting for the utility cost.
Yep.
So,
Paying the utility less.
right,
Allows money to be paid to the
Yes.
system.
yes.
Yeah, in this example, the business office maintains the existing budget for utilities, even though the actual expense items were to go down due to you
Right.
starting to produce your own solar. The key, if you will, is to maintain that utility budget through that term, so you can be making those payments. Okay? And then that surplus starts to go back to the district to do what you will with it.
We're being asked to make a decision based on these numbers that you provided us. The question that I have is, you haven't taken this obviously to bid.
Correct.
So how did you, I understand the 775, that's the credit, but that 171,317, which is what all these other numbers hinge on, how do you come up with that number without taking it to bid and knowing what I understand we have to have something to work with,
Yep.
but you gotta take this to bid to get real numbers. What can we expect to happen to the 171 when this goes to bid? And when will you find out what the actual numbers are for the board to review?
Great question. And thank you for asking that. The way that we propose our contracts is in a guaranteed maximum price situation. So what that means is we would have a guaranteed maximum price that financing 171 is based on. I forget what the total is there, whatever it was, 2.4 billion, whatever that number is. That would be, we would
Total
propose.
meaning that number at the bottom of the column, the 3174?
Without the credit.
Of this larger sheet.
Oh,
This first line of the larger
Yep.
sheet,
right here, Scott.
2.499.
Yep. So that lease payment is generated based on that term, or based on that amount. And we would propose a contract for a guaranteed maximum price based on that amount. And then from that point, we would solicit bids for the work. And if those bids come in over, we would not be, we are not, based on the terms of the contract, we are not allowed to charge more for that project, even if the bids come in higher, the same scope of work. And if the bids come in under, we would return that underage to the district. So in theory,
But the
that financing
170
payment could only go down, if that makes sense.
is this 2,499,150? Is that, if you look at the bottom column under lease payments where you've got the 3,000,001, is that 3.1 minus the 775 from the top, or where does the difference come?
This is including the interest on the lease, basically, because you're paying interest payments, so this is the payments that we made, that includes the project amount and interest that would be paid over the term of the lease.
So it has nothing to do with the 775, 720?
So the 775 was help paying that down.
Yep, it's included.
Well, no, I mean, the included in the, because that's really, that's not a,
What we're saying is for the project at 2.4 million, that the total interest over that 25 years is 3.1 million.
Difference.
okay, gotcha.
700,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, when you take this to bid and get the actual numbers, they won't be higher than 171,317 to the district per year.
Per the terms of our contract, yep.
And the utility savings are based on the calculations, I think, that you have in the back of the packet here.
Yep. Last time we talked a little bit about how to ensure that those are being realized, right? So one of the things we talked to Vince and Jason about was the idea of having like a report afterwards, right? So not only will you have the data from the inverter and with the submetering that we went through, but we would include like a year's worth of, call it measurement verification around those savings being generated.
So my understanding correctly that it's possible that the tax credit could be higher than the number you have here?
Correct.
And the actual bid cost could be lower per year to the district?
Correct.
But the utility, well, that would impact the utility bill savings even greater than what we have here.
Correct.
So it can't be any worse than here.
Correct. We think we're even conservative on that, on the utility production. Hope for a sunny year.
Yeah.
A sunny 25 years.
Being conservative on that as well.
We're having a good winter so far.
So the savings on the very bottom right, the almost $2 million, right, 1.9 down there.
no,
That one.
3.1.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry, 3.1.
In your
The
packet,
second
we
page.
did propose one,
Yeah, forget
that
that. Don't even
does
go there.
not
Don't even
have
go
the
there.
tax
No, no.
credit
Don't even
included.
go there.
Right.
Just to be able to see how important that
Yeah.
is.
Don't even go there though. So
The
the
projects definitely don't cash flow
We're not looking at
nearly
that.
as well. So
$3.1 million in
coupon
savings
type of a.
is sort of the minimum.
And I think, we've talked about it before at the committee meetings, but I think the reason we're doing 25 years is that the solar panels, the inverters, all the stuff that goes into this is warranted for 25 years. So that's the reason we've picked 25 years to run it out, is that is the life of the warranty. The solar panels will continue to produce, they're just gonna keep degrading over time, but there's nothing to say the panels won't be here for 40 years, you know. It's just, this is the life of the warranty of the product.
You've built in warranty for all, this is, right, extended?
Yep.
I mean, I just
For the
understand clear too,
inverters.
right, the panels have come with a 25-year warranty, but the inverters don't, but built into this is an extended warranty for them to get to the 25 years.
Correct.
It's just a pain to have to budget,
No, I
you know,
agree.
10 years out for, you never know when they'll fail to and that type of thing, so. this
So
makes
essentially
sense to-
what's being done here is the district is getting solar installed on all of the buildings, all 4 schools, and the district office. The school district does not have to lay out a large expense of funds, or frankly, any funds up front to start this project. And the way that the district is going to pay for the project, because we're gonna pay for it, but the way we're paying for it is money that would normally be spent or sent to the utilities is going to be not sent to the utilities because we're not using as much electricity, and that money is what we're gonna use to pay down the cost of the project over 15 years, and then after 15 years, the savings are gonna go even that much more because we're done paying it down. Important part is the district is not laying out millions of dollars to do this.
Correct.
But getting millions of dollars in return.
Over 25
Over
years.
25 years,
Yeah.
for sure.
Plus.
So, question on the buildings and, the panels, how confident are we that we have enough or not too many panels laid out on the roofs for each of the buildings?
Yes,
Does
for
that make
size-
sense?
for sizing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a number of considerations that we use for each building to determine the size. So I think one, most importantly, is the electrical usage. So we took past 12 months, and we don't want to size over 1 month of any month of what you guys are producing. So I think we use 2024 to compare the production of the arrays and the existing usage of the buildings. Another component is basically the roofs. That can limit the size of the arrays. We don't want to put a solar array on an old roof, so kind of the size, age of the roofs can limit the size too. And then the existing infrastructure of the electrical of the building. So we don't want to, we need to connect the solar into the building, but we don't want to upgrade major components. So we need to make sure there's enough space and capacity to fit this into the building. So that is a couple of the considerations that we use to size it.
And I know we talked at the committee level last week, about, because we've got a new roof over here, it's only a couple of years, like 2 years old, the high school we've got going into 3 phases. Just that we would not be, what's the word I want to use? We would not be the work with solar panels would not be damaging or
Correct.
doing anything to those new roofs
Correct.
that.
Yes, thank you for asking that. The
Yeah.
roofs have an existing warranty for the materials, the
Right.
manufacturer of that material, the membrane, if you will. So each one of those manufacturers will have a specification that to adhere to maintain and not void their warranties.
Yeah, I'm
through
just trying
solar
to, for
installation.
people,
Yeah.
you know, people.
Yep, I appreciate you asking. that.
Well, and
Yeah.
I already knew that.
Well, and to your point, unfortunately, you guys have had to replace a lot of roofs lately.
Right.
Fortunately, it's really good time for solar then, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't wanna put solar on old roofs, so
Right.
it's kind of the good with the bad, I guess.
Well, and we had talked about before this roof went on, when if we put a roof, we are committed to this building
Right.
for, 15, 20 years or more,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Couple other things that go with it is, remember I mentioned that the district doesn't file federal tax credits. The district would work with a, accounting agency, tax agency to make those filings happen. As well with the panels, you would add, and you're adding any asset like a playground or whatnot to your insurance policies as additional property that would now be covered, okay? So just some of the other things that, you would do with any type of project that is kind of.
We did include that in this, latest version after we met with the administration team, Vince and Jason. We included that, I think it was like $30,000 in accounting costs that would go into actually doing the tax credit, filing the paperwork and all of that. So that's actually pulling out of year 1 here, to help cover those costs.
It's just to make sure that if there's in a case of an audit, that the district can defend itself and say, we were eligible to receive this tax credit, and here's our documentation to go along with that.
I have one final question, I know I'm kinda asking a bunch here,
No, you're doing great, Sarah.
That's all stuff
Back
we
to
know
the big
as well.
page.
Okay.
So the HVAC retro commissioning, did I hear you correctly that that's more for natural gas?
It is.
And isn't that something that NAMI should be doing for us automatically already? Or the utilities or somebody? So,
Yes
I
and
don't
no.
know how to
Yeah.
quite say this,
Yeah.
and I know,
Yeah,
I might
yes and
put
no.
my foot in-
I think they're gonna be focused on the performance of your system in terms of functionality, making sure the points are talking to each other, you're not having some of the hot and cold calls that we spoke to before, but they're just not gonna be able to, I would say they're not gonna be looking for some of those opportunities. That's just not in the nature of what they would be doing. If you'd ask them to, they may come up with some of the same options, and I suppose you could pose the question back to them, is how come you didn't find this to begin with, but I just think it's a different service that, they're a mechanical contractor, they do a lot of I would even say new construction projects, and even on their service calls, they're just saying, what's broke? They're just be there to fix it, if you will.
And those projects we would find, they're more than capable of implementing those projects, right? That's who you would most likely use in that instance, or who we would use. And
Yeah.
so we see this, it's just a different, like Mara says, a different service. It's a different expertise. And so they're actually, we were just talking about this, the building codes are actually changing in upcoming years. Commissioning is not required in the state of Wisconsin for new construction builds, and it's required in most of the country. And they're actually changing that code to require commissioning on new construction projects to kind of help eliminate some of these issues, because there is value in it.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Let's just say one of the like the example Ben gave before of your damper being outside, out of position. And for those that don't know what a damper is, that's just what allows your outdoor air in. They would just say, it failed, or it got out of whack, or we don't, they're not gonna take fault of that happening, and most likely the services you're receiving from them, wouldn't be for them to identify that, would be my guess.
They would find that the damper's broke and not working, and then they would replace it, right?
Right.
That's what they would find.
If they found it.
Right.
But unless someone is,
Catching it.
yeah, or enough of your hot cold calls are happening that someone says, you know what, we're just gonna go out and look, and then they might,
Yeah.
so.
So as far as leasing, so
Before
basically,
you ask that really quick,
yeah.
you're also talking about multi-level things though, not just one single damper, right?
Correct.
Just because this one, that might be causing this, and this.
Absolutely.
And so you can change all of that by coordinating all of that stuff, which they're not always focused
With
on.
the submetering.
No, they're gonna look at multi-layers,
Right, okay.
and multi-level systeming, not just what's wrong here, what's wrong here.
Have it all work together.
Have it all work together better, which will increase the efficiency. Sorry, back to Lisa.
No, that's fine. Because I have not been at all of the facility and finance, which I'm regretting, but I'm just trying to catch up on everything. So the leasing of the equipment, those are the solar panels.
That would be all of the equipment, the racking.
And just out of curiosity, what's the advantage of leasing as purchasing? Like, if we just purchased it ourselves, what would just
You need to come up with all that
ridiculous
money
amount
up
of
front.
money?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
leasing is saving it, so we don't have to put the money up front, basically,
And-
okay.
And Jason or Dr. Brainick, because of the cost, we can the school board can approve to lease it, but if we didn't have the money, we can only borrow as a school board up to $1 million without having to ask, but leasing we can lease.
Okay.
Does that?
Would it be at the end of the lease, purchasing it for
That's my understanding, yes.
$1? We talked about that at the committee level.
So like
We're
after
leasing
25.
it, but at the end of 25 years, it will be ours, because we're gonna
Okay.
buy it for $1
Okay.
at the end
15.
of the lease. $15?
No,
No, at the
15
end of
years.
15 years.
15 years.
You wouldn't want it over 20, well, if you go over 25, your payments would go down, I
Adam, is there
think,
anything else that I'm?
I think you got
If
it all.
we approve of this tonight, can you give a brief overview of what the timeline of the project would look like? Brief is fine.
Go ahead, Adam, go ahead.
So I think we would, if we're going through a bidding process, we could say 4 to 6 weeks to get the bids, come back to you guys, pick a contractor. There's probably another 4-ish weeks to get utility approval and start purchasing all the equipment, getting subcontract going. And then with this type of install, it could be 3 to 4 months on-site installing and getting utility approval. So I think that budgets up right to our prediction of getting it done by that June, July timeframe.
How does it work with the roof work we still need to do on the high school yet? I don't know, honestly, on this picture, I don't know where the work was done and where the work was.
So where they have that placed is where the brand new roof is.
Oh, so it would only go on that
It's,
new?
the only place they have the estimate, or where they have it right now is in the middle section of the high school,
And that's
which
been
is the
done.
roof that was been done.
And then the other phases are either side of.
And then, if we do approve this tonight, you guys would work with whatever roofing contractor we work with to figure out how to work together to
Yeah.
get all this done.
Oh, for staging and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
yes.
oh, yes.
Is, back to the high school, so is it just on the center spot? There wouldn't be panels on the two
Correct.
spots that need to be? Oh.
Yeah,
I did not know
But
that
what
when
he's
you
saying
said
is,
it would be
there's
finished.
a lot of people and a lot of moving parts all up on that
Yeah, yeah,
roof,
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
trying to do it all at the same time. It's
Exactly,
gonna be
yes.
a lot of
Yes, yes.
coordination, so.
But
great
that,
point.
I
The
did
job
not
sites are
realize.
always very coordinated, right?
Safety is a big.
I guess I did not look at that, and I was thinking on the high school, you know, what are we gonna do? Because we've got the one side coming up,
Yeah.
the other side coming up in another year and a half
Sure.
now. But it's all in the spot that's already been done. Oh,
And that bidding process, I'm just curious, because we do get a lot of questions as a district about that. Is that open to anybody?
It would.
Okay. So if we did have, and you said something to the effect of you're going to basically try to use products made in the USA, but
There are
we're gonna
some-
be
there are-
realistic about cost.
Yes, there are some, like Ben said, we do that, I think that analysis to say, is it worth buying this?
Okay.
How much do you have to buy to make sure you're eligible for that additional 10%? But that 10% credit is applied to the whole project cost,
Okay.
So
not
the-
just those materials.
Yeah, and so like solar is a big like material management game, basically, right? It's all, I losing my train of thought now.
Like material handling.
Material handling, getting material up on the roof, getting it formatted out, but it's also who has what material available at what time with all the rules changed and things like that. So sometimes domestic content is the same price as foreign content, right? It just
Yeah.
all depends on the time of when the bidding happens and when you buy the material. And so that's what we'll weigh when we bid this out with the alternates and things like that to figure out what's the best bang for your buck for the district.
I have one last question.
You said that 3 times.
I know I have.
I'm just kidding.
On
No,
this,
you're asking
I'm sorry.
awesome questions.
No, because I
You're
got one
asking
last
awesome
question
stuff.
on
I'm
the
just
big
kidding.
sheet, and then I'm gonna make a motion.
You have to keep
Well, no, we-
asking questions
No, I
until
know.
you're
No.
exhausted.
I have
That's the
some
way this
I was gonna
works.
say,
Oh,
and Vince has-
the total, so if we were to say, make a motion for the solar and the submetering without the retro commissioning, could we come back at a later date for retro commissioning?
Yes.
Okay, that's it, I'm done asking my question, I really am.
No, I'm kidding, Sarah.
No,
You've
no,
been
no, 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 I
awesome.
really am.
Because you've been involved in this for a while, so
You're asking great questions.
no, you are, I'm just kidding, I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm really appreciative of this, because like I said, I have not been involved in the whole process, and I've been trying to play catch-up the last meeting.
I learned,
But I wanna make sure that the
I
public is
learned a
feeling informed.
ton
Yes.
at this last meeting because I was remote,
Um,
you know, and virtual for the first one, so
Yeah.
I learned a ton last meeting.
Yeah.
Dr. Breinig?
Yeah, so I have, I guess, a couple questions, and I'd like to know that. So one of the meetings that I had today was with WPPI and Lodi Utilities, talking about this process, and electric submetering, logical place to start, makes a lot of sense, like, looking at that. HVAC retro commissioning, I guess one of the questions I'd ask you is, you know, there are some grants and rebates through Focus on Energy, WPPI that you can do, but there's some specs that are required, you have to do certain things.
Sure.
So I guess speak to that, like, would that make sense to wait and work with them to do that, or, does your, retro commissioning meet those specs, or is it a different process, so?
Yeah. Great question. They do have lots of good programs. You certainly can, they have programs for both, what I would say like the study part of it, which is sort of what we're talking about, and they also have programs that give you money for the implementation. You gotta remember, they're keeping score for how many kilowatt hours are saved. So they're giving more credit when you're actually doing stuff.
Right.
A lot of times, in this kind of scenario, you don't know what to do till you do that study. So what they've realized is to create an incentive on both sides of that. So we've had success doing it both ways. I will say the paperwork, when you go for the study part, is a little cumbersome. So we've had more luck trying to not apply for the study part of it, but apply for the rebate, the grants and rebates, once you implement whatever that work would be. So that 20,000 in savings, whatever our laundry list of items would be, each one of those implementation things would have a rebate, you know, with that you would realize once you get it.
Yeah,
So-
they have talked about like it's, you know, 50% of that, commissioning project, up to $10,000.
Yeah, so to answer your question, our commissioning program, we have done that program, it would fit into that program fine, there's no like issue with it. We just had, like Mario said, it's just kind of clunky, kind of cumbersome, and it doesn't always fit in this scenario. I think we talked about briefly, it actually might make a lot of sense to do in this scenario with how we have it set up with the study. So it's certainly something that our retro commissioning would fit in their program with it. It would just be working through that with doing that, so.
That's something I just want the board to consider if you want to wait and have that conversation with WPPI, Lodi Utilities. The second thing, in talking with them about solar, they have some questions about the size. One of the questions that again, they haven't had a whole lot of chance to dig into this. I just shared it with them last week. So they haven't had a deep dive into this, but they're concerned. I think one of the things we talked about in the mini meetings, we've had a lot of meetings, right? The mini meetings we've had is talking, we talked about it again tonight, not making those solar arrays too big.
Yeah.
Right, because, right, you build get energy, but you're sending it back to the grid for not much.
For sure.
Right? So they had some questions about the size of those, especially like on a building like this, which isn't used.
Sure.
Well, a couple of us are here on the weekends, but we try not to use it much on the weekends.
Yeah.
And compared to like the high school, which is used constantly, right? There's people in that building all the time. So they had questions about the size of those arrays. They thought like all of them were a little big. The second, they had some questions about inflation rate that you were using, like 3.5 they felt was very high. They thought 2% would be a better use of the inflation rate. And some of the other pieces of like peak and command time and looking at that. But I guess really the size is the biggest piece. Like, can you speak to like how you came up with that size and like how you would work with WPPI to like, as you go through, if this project improved, how would you work with them to make sure that the size, your estimates came through, now looking with them to make sure we right-size this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, other than getting the technical folks together to go through that, I think that would be the first place to start. I would have Adam and any contractors. We've had some good success with some contractors, more than others, so I'd ask for their input as well. Start to sort of, I guess, uncover, where we came up with those sizes, and if they have other recommendations, we'd be open to their suggestions, I guess.
Well, and I think that's a good point. I mean, when we're putting this together, it's not, we're using modeling programs, right? So we're putting the panels on the roof, we're putting all the specs in, we're saying this is the weather data, we're in Lodi, here's their utility bills, here's all the time, this is how much money they spent on it, and so we feel super confident with our models and the sizing and what we've done in the past with that, and so I think to Mario's point, we could, if you guys are interested in moving forward with this, we could certainly meet with WPPI and say, hey, if they wanna lower this by 10 kW, because I think this one's a little big, or lower this one by 20, or raise this one by 10, we could do that, and working through those scope changes, it's no different, I think we even put it in there. Solar is super nice because it is modular that way, right? Going from 100 to 125 kW, or going from 150 down to 140 is not a huge deal, and doesn't affect pricing too much, as long as it's a smaller change in that regard. So I think that would probably be a good exercise regardless, to get WPPI and Lodi Utilities on board with everything, make sure they're comfortable with everything. We can walk through with our engineers with them and say, this is how we got to this, are you guys good moving forward with this? We have no problem doing that.
We would propose any adjustments to that, in the documents reflected, if you will, right?
So basically, the concerns that Vince is bringing up with the grants and with working with WPI and Lodi Utilities, sounds like it would not be an issue or something that would stop something, correct?
No, I would think, like Ben said, if they're recommending a smaller size and our team agrees, we'd probably say, yeah, let's do that, and then in theory, everything would just come down from there. Like I said, we reflect that in the documents.
Other question I have is, like one of the things you talked about is, there's some advantages to starting this project before January 1st.
Yes.
So how, obviously, we're not putting stuff on the roof today.
Correct.
Right? Because there's a foot of snow up there, or close to it.
We're not making a lot of
we're getting
power in our building right now, like zero.
But, like, speak to, I guess, how you demonstrate that project started today. And the concern is if you don't start that project January first and the unknown of that.
Absolutely. So back when I was mentioning just some of that market update related to that federal tax credit, some of the provisions that are changing with the recent administration, one of those changes, one of the provisions that is changing is on January 1st, they're implementing a rule called, the acronym is FEOC. What it stands for is Foreign Entities of Concern. And that rule change is making sure that all eligible entities for that tax credit are purchasing X percent of their materials not from countries that are on this Foreign Entities of Concern list. What we think this means for the solar industry, this goes for all of the renewable energy projects that these credits are available for. But we think what this means for solar is that it will eventually, create a pinch point around the materials and where you're sourcing them from. As I mentioned, the utility scale projects will all be looking to source those modules, all the equipment from, let's say not China, if you will. So that rule we think is gonna have a significant impact on the market as we're in December here. We're already starting to get rumblings from suppliers about what they think will happen because of that. To avoid all of this, the IRS is asking their eligible applicants to demonstrate that their projects have commenced prior to this rule changing happening. In order to demonstrate that, they have something called a safe harbor election. There are a couple of ways to meet this requirement. One would be to actually put boots on the ground, as Vince is suggesting. The other is to demonstrate that through payment to the contractor, mentioning that the project has started, whether that's engineering that Adam was mentioning, utility pieces, material procurement, whatever that may be. So our accountant folks that we've worked with have advised payments to anywhere from 5 to 7% of the total project cost to demonstrate that that project has commenced. So that would be sort of the way that avoiding that FEOC requirement.
So that would be just off of this total price, but.
Correct.
And even though it hasn't gone out for bid, since you're promising it won't be higher than this, we can
Correct.
just work
Yep.
with this. Okay.
Yep. So those costs would effectively be for the engineering costs, if you will. Those would come to upper 90 in this example, and then through that bid process, you'd realize that. But again, it's a little bit of an unknown. We really don't know, and no one knows, if you will. People have a lot of inside information onto the market share of solar, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the marketplace. We really think labor will be a really big pinch point. It always is, if you know anything about electrical construction, but even more so next summer.
Okay, I lied, I have one more question. Jason, if this goes to, someone's gonna make a motion. If this were to approve, and the district would have to come up with 5 to 7% of the 2.499, where would that money come from? Does the district have the money for that in order to take advantage of all of, the tax credits and all of that? About $135,000.
Yes, we'd be able to come up with that from fund balance, yes.
Okay.
Can you say that just a little louder?
We have fund balance.
We can either come through with fund balance or through Fund 41.
Okay.
Capital project.
I just wanted
Mario,
to hear that.
can you speak to any way in which our financing company can be used for this? Or
Yeah.
assist with that?
Yeah, you bet. So I wanted to make sure, because in that example, you're paying that 5%. We want to make sure, to Scott's point, that you're not paying anything for this. So the financier, this lease agent, would provide reimbursement for that.
Okay.
More or less upfront, and then, your financed amount is the same. It just reimburses you right away for that initial outlay.
It just means we have to do the engagement.
Right.
Well, and it's a little weird, and it's, the only reason it's time sensitive is January 1st, right?
Right.
Normally it would be,
It's
we'd send a bill in January or February for engineering and all of the stuff, it's basically like an early bill on that, just to show for the government that you're serious about doing the project.
Well, you have done a ton of engineering, though.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, normally we wouldn't bill till
I
January,
understand.
February.
But you have done a ton of work. Nick has that question.
Dr. Carnes.
Sorry, I just have one quick, so if,
Apologize.
my understanding is, as I've been listening, that you would like to move forward quickly so that, the vendor options are more widely available because, right, the scope is gonna diminish. So let's say you go with a vendor for panels that, all of a sudden is not available, and who knows what happens to them because of those restrictions. Maybe they go bankrupt and now we have all of these panels, and then a year or two, some of them become defective. What's the long-term outlook and safeguards for us as a district if something like that were to occur?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was only gonna, so they're gonna be, if you make this prepayment, you can avoid all of those, that would be the purpose, to avoid those restrictions. Is that what you mean? So that we would be able to go to one more reputable, great manufacturers that we'd have no worry with.
Yeah.
Ones that have been around for 30 years already.
Yeah, like in the bid documents, we would have like specs, submittals that the contractors would bid off, this brand or equivalent, just to make sure it's not, name brand that won't be around in 2 years.
Yeah. But it's gonna get trickier for folks doing it next year, to answer your question, that how do you know that this panel used to be made with this manufacturer in China, they've now moved operations to a country that's allowable.
Yeah.
How do I know that they're gonna be supported, that's even the same materials? I mean, Ben and I have personally gone to overseas to see some of the, more in the lighting specs, and it's a completely different world over there. Everything is like unregulated to the max, and they have 10,000 manufacturers just sort of ripping each other's products off and that type of thing. So, yes, you would not want to be in that ballgame.
Mario, Emily has a question.
Yeah, so just a comment and a question. One, I think that watching our energy consumption and our carbon footprint is very important and is a focus of a lot of the students. As we saw in the presentation, that's not only for a class, but I know personally that they're passionate about that and they found that very interesting. Just because it's so personal, because it's our schools. It's the classroom they go to every day. And so I was wondering about the idea of including students. I know you mentioned that in the beginning. Is that at all possible for this particular project? Or, I know because we're kind of trying to move it maybe just a little quicker, but is that possible for this project or maybe a later project?
Absolutely. So I see it on a couple of ways, both on the installation through like, an easy term would be like job shadowing, to whatever extent your district feels comfortable with that. And then absolutely on anything math and engineering related on how the performance is going. I don't know, Ben, if you can think of anything else.
I mean, all the calculations we've done, we could blank it out and say, here, help us recreate this, right? Just because we've kind of done it doesn't mean we can't kind of redo that. All the same math program, all the same math we've done, and the rebate application and tax credit. So all of this could be done. We've done it for multiple school districts, just in various degrees, right? I know, like, working with you guys on some of the lighting stuff.
I was just gonna say, you guys have worked with the SAPS group, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
So it just depends on student, the more they wanna be involved, the more we wanna be involved with it. We love doing that, so it's.
That's a great point.
Some districts don't care about it, some districts, there's no interest in it, and some districts, they have a lot of interest in it.
Perfect, it's right there.
So some of the electrical connections at the panels themselves are, straight up plug it in like that. We would of course have the master electricians doing the main connections. But there would be some student, if that is something, we've done some of that with other schools where they're up there making some of the physical connections on them.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
We don't know what your liability insurance is, so we don't wanna, the district has to decide.
Did you have anything else, Emily?
No, and I think that echo Emily's too, like Mr. Olson and Mr. Radloff both came to Facility and Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Olson's come to a couple, and talked about how they would integrate this into their classes as well. So, absolutely, there's.
And we had a nice letter from Mr. Olson, who could not be here
Who couldn't be here
tonight for
tonight, but
this.
there's some thoughts of how you can integrate that and engage students in this whole process.
I am going.
Before you do that though, before you do that.
Okay.
They're willing to work with folks on energy and.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
You don't know what you don't know what my motion's gonna be. I would like to make a motion to move to approve adding electric data submetering, completing HVAC retro commissioning, and installing the recommended solar arrays on the roofs of all 5 district buildings as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Sarah Raymond, second by Adam. Any more discussion?
You didn't think it was gonna be that motion,
Well, that's
did
why I
you?
was hoping it was gonna be that.
So, I mean, one thing we did bring up, though, that they said that, do we really need them on this? But we're thinking, why not? Is that what people are kind of
Do we really need them on that? What do you mean?
on the district office, considering it's not used as much, but
You
at the
guys
same-
work in this building all summer long with the AC on. That is the killer time,
Yes,
right?
These numbers are
Based on,
the
yes.
numbers are based on all of this.
So yes, on the weekends, there'll be a surplus being generated that will go back, but during the week, and again, they're gonna tweak those numbers to get the right size on here.
There may be plenty of days out of the year that there isn't a surplus being generated here also.
Well, and I do wanna say
Even on the
thank
week-
you
even on the
Oh,
weekend.
God, yes.
to Dr. Breinig for trying to just get all different aspects and different, you know, all the info possible. And thank you guys
Yeah.
for
being so
willing to
patient.
work with them if this goes through. Cause, I mean,
The many
that's-
times that you have come and
Yes,
explained this.
and I appreciate
over and
all the
over and over
time.
again.
Please do not
And
think
made it
that that's,
simpler and
yeah,
simpler.
this is just normal, how we work with all of our.
And I do
clients.
wanna
will
say,
that.
and again, we don't even know
For
what's
the
happening yet,
finance
but I do
committee.
wanna say thank you to the facility and finance, cause you guys have been working. I know there's been different members the last couple of years, but thank you for everybody. So,
And-
is there any,
Yeah, and I will speak to, especially with Ben, but also Adam was out there too, and Mario came too. Working with students, they are phenomenal at working with students. And they have done, like, gone out of their way to work with students, not just work with students, but go out of their way to do it. So
And speaking of that, I
I
just,
think that on this project, they will do that again.
So
I
they
just thought
fit
it
in our
was
bubble.
interesting that the presentation with the ninth graders today,
Right.
I mean,
It's perfect.
yeah,
it was perfect,
yeah.
yes.
Any
Alright.
more? Okay, I think we're gonna vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Still, oh, she's still there.
Okay.
Yep, she's there.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Appreciate it.
And we still have more in the meeting.
I know, we're still.
Still have more meetings.
It's a long one tonight, so we got lots of info. All right, thank you guys so
Thank you
much. I
guys so
appreciate it. Thanks for
much.
sitting
Oh,
for the
gosh.
beginning too.
You're not, don't, this next couple should be fast. and then
There would be worse places to be, right?
See, we just wanted to let you know all the things you're gonna be helping with.
Oh, thanks.
Here.
I suspect.
I learned a lot tonight.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
No, we wouldn't like that.
All right, so our district library plan.
Yeah, so in Wisconsin, there's long-range planning for library services are required through Wisconsin Administrative Code,
Need a reason.
PI dash, or, 01, 2H?
P18.
Yeah.
PI.
PI, sorry. I should have my glasses on. Lowell Media Specialists have reviewed this plan with the curriculum committee of the board at the last meeting and forwarded the plan to the full board with the recommendation of approval.
I will make a motion to approve the district library plan as presented.
I will second.
Motion by Sarah Raymond, second by Adam. Any more discussion?
That was done in curriculum.
It was, and
Yep.
it was very thorough, and it's on the website. It's very
They do it every
interesting
year.
too, like you don't realize how much goes into it, and we appreciate what they're doing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes 6-0. And our educational options.
Yeah, each year the district's required by January 31st to provide parents and guardians with notice of each building and district report card data, along with a summary of educational options available within the school district of Lodi. There is a January 2026 educational options letter to parents, guardians for the board to review and approve prior to sending this to families and posting on our website to meet this mandatory requirement, so I would recommend approval of that letter.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual notification notice for parents/guardians on school options as required under the 2015 Act 55.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Sarah Ramish. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And we have our board self-evaluation.
Yeah, just according to policy PO 177, each board member shall use the link that's in board docs to complete the evaluation form. Please complete it no later than December 22nd. That way, Ms. Palmer can compile that information for a summative report for the board review at their January meeting. So,
And don't
just
get rid of-
homework.
And remember,
I'm
don't get rid of
emailing it
those
to
texts
myself right
from-
now.
I know. I always feel really embarrassed when you get a text from Mo. So
I know.
Heather,
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
not
Mo.
just you, it's me
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so we do not obviously need to
Nope.
make a motion or anything,
Nope.
but just make sure that
No, we
everybody's
gotta
aware
do
of
it.
that.
Homework.
Your homework.
Next one is upcoming elections. Seats up for elections are Sarah Ramish and Adam Steinberg. These are at-large seats for 3-year terms. Anyone interested in filing campaign paperwork can find the needed forms on Lodi's website. There's no circulation of nomination papers are needed for the positions. All paperwork for non-incumbents needed to be filed no later than Tuesday, January 6th at 5 p.m. at the district office. That is state requirement. We have no wiggle room around that.
I think Mo wanted from us.
Please.
By the
You were
23rd.
earlier, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
I
have to
think
be
we're the
earlier.
23rd.
She's talked to incumbents when they
Yes.
have to have their
Yeah,
paperwork in.
Yeah.
So please note, the district office will be closed though through December 24th through January 4th. So if you're looking at those dates, just so you're aware if you're planning on running for the board.
All right, thank you. All right, and we do not have any policy reviews.
I'll make a motion to accept with great gratitude the donation of $2,000 from Lodi Utilities for the 2026 Senior Reality Day event, which was amazing.
A second.
Motion by Adam, second by Scott. Any more discussion? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
They brought the check
Thank
today.
you. Yeah.
Nice.
In my
Did you bring
office.
one of those big ones?
They thought about, we're gonna go take a picture with the big one,
Okay.
with some
I like the
students.
big
Yep,
checks.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those big checks are fun.
Remember Publishers Clearinghouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Sorry, Teresa. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And our committee reports. I'm gonna start with CISA 5.
No meeting in December.
That's a nice quick one. Co-curricular items report.
Oh, that's me. It's you. That is me. Okay, the co-curricular report for December. Wrestling. The Lodi wrestling team went 1-1 in their first competition of the year, winning against Middleton 48-35, but falling to defending state champions Mineral Point by a score of 44-30. This past Saturday, the team traveled to Stoughton for the Piper Duels, with Lodi coming away as tournament champions after defeating Madison West, Dodgeville, Sugar River, and Stoughton. Boys basketball. The boys basketball team is off to a 0-1 start after losing their season opener at Sauk Prairie by a score of 50-77. They host Baraboo in their home opener on Tuesday night before traveling to Marshall on Friday night. Next Monday, both the boys and girls varsity teams will take on Wisconsin Heights at home. Girls basketball. The girls basketball team is off to a 1-4 start on the season. The team got their first win of the year this past Saturday at home with a 4-point win over Adams Friendship. The team will lead to Marshall on Tuesday and DeForest on Saturday. And lastly, we have boys hockey. The Norski Co-op hockey team is 1-1 with a conference record of 1-1. They opened the season with a loss to Reedsburg and got their first win of the season at Stoughton. They will host Oregon on Tuesday and will travel to Sauk Prairie on Friday night.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
OSC report.
Okay, thank you, Eric. On November 19th, the OSC board met at the LMC, and the LMC, the meeting consisted of OSC update. Mr. Schooneman shared information about Pillar 1, WIN structure and its positive impact on student learning. Pillar 2, all school recess and costume parade. Pillar 4, parent-teacher conferences and meals provided through the PTO and monthly staff gatherings. And Pillar 5, fire safety presentations, bus evacuation drills, and the ALICE drill. Magnetic program study, OSC approved. OSC fundraising received Sauk Prairie Memorial Health Initiative grant of $1,500 for a hiking closet for students to assess needed materials and resources. Adult Trivia Night, Friday, February 6th at the Waddle Inn. Event from 5 to 9. The room is booked from 4 to 9. Plan details and next steps. This looks like fun. Penny Ward School, January 20th kickoff speaker is currently being booked. January 26th, February 6th, Penny War at OSC. That's when the time frame is. After February 26th, OSC trip to the bank to see coin counters and plan details and next steps. Fine Arts Night, details and next steps, fall family fun at the Trinan Farm. Pick a date. And the next meeting is Wednesday, December 17th at 3:30.
What are we gonna do for penny wars when we don't have any more pennies?
Yeah, gonna be nickel wars?
What's a penny war?
You gather pennies.
You just,
Whoever gets the most pennies.
Yeah, but isn't
In a
it
big
something
jar.
where if you bring a dime though, it takes
Yeah.
away from the other team?
Yes.
Or, you know, like,
Yes.
yeah.
You gotta get it right.
yep.
Oh, I know, my kids used to be like, Mom, I need all the change.
I know.
All right, thank you very much. I clicked on the wrong screen. Okay, now our board committee, personnel has not met since the last board meeting. Curriculum,
Okay, that is me again. Our curriculum committee met on Wednesday, November 19th at 4:30. Some of the items that we went over, we had a presentation from Sue Mefford regarding the girls hockey co-op. She presented a request to transition the girls hockey co-op from Stoughton to Sauk Prairie beginning in the 2026-2027 school year. A couple of items related to this that are key points was that Sauk Prairie recently became the host school for its existing girls hockey co-op and has invited Lodi to join. Costs charged to families are expected to be similar to current Stoughton rates. And in order to exit the Stoughton co-op, Lodi will need approval, signatures from all current co-op partner schools. This has occurred successfully in the past and is not expected to be an issue. We then pass this on to full board approval, which, are we going to be discussing that further
No, we
still
didn't.
tonight? I guess we already talked about it, I just couldn't remember if it
It
was.
was in consent agenda.
Yeah, okay, so that was already part of consent agenda. Then we had a presentation with Principal Eric Scheneman from LES OSC and Nick Carls speaking about OSC's ELA program study. They presented an update on the magnetic literacy pilot proposed by OSC staff. The OSC board had approved the pilot earlier the same evening regarding the usage of Sunday phonics for the remainder of the 2025-2026 school year to avoid disrupting the scope and sequence mid-year. Let's see. Determination regarding long-term phonics integration, whether magnetic literacy sufficiently replaces Sunday, will occur after piloting. I guess I maybe read that backwards, but, so the OSC had approved the pilot earlier that same evening. So that was just an informational only item, so we didn't have to vote on anything regarding that particular topic at the meeting. We also then had a presentation, more of a deep dive into the DPI school and district accountability report cards. Dr. Carls reviewed the newly released DPI report cards with us. I think we've heard a lot of that tonight, so I won't go into a lot of details, but it's very exciting, so please look into that if you haven't yet. We had a presentation by Library Media Specialist Paula Tunn, who spoke about 4K through 12 library department. Her provided a report on 4K to 12 library initiatives. Some of the key updates were that she provided a review of the Future Ready Library Framework and shared how Lodi libraries align with statewide competencies, including instruction, digital resources, technology integration, and collection development. She also highlighted the increasing emphasis on AI literacy. They're currently building a long-term K-12 AI scope and sequence, beginning with foundational lessons in grades 6 through 10 this current school year. Digital citizenship and media literacy continue as priorities, with some instruction shifting appropriately to life skills classes. Something else we chatted about was the book vending machine, which was mentioned earlier, which has been a highly successful and well-funded program through LACE grants, Donors Choose, and Scholastic Rewards. Let's see, she also presented the updated district library plan, which is organized as a 3-year plan, which is aligned with the current district strategic plan pillars. And the plan includes building level goals across curriculum and instruction, digital access, collaborative spaces, community partnerships, and leadership development. Let's see, our next meeting is scheduled on Wednesday, January 28th at 4:30.
Awesome.
There you have
Thank
it.
you.
You are
Busy,
welcome.
busy.
Say that date again, please.
Oh, I think it
you were
was
gonna ask her to say
February
it.
28th.
8th of January.
January, I just said
But
February.
which date in January?
January
I'll say it in a
28th.
minute. I'll
Well,
say
that's-
I'll
oh, you'll
call
say it in a
them
minute.
all
Okay,
down
never mind.
meetings.
Yeah.
Facility and finance,
So we spent a long time on the energy stuff, that we just spent another long time on. So The maintenance vehicle, they're looking at getting a new truck to get stuff around, but Scott made a great suggestion of possibly getting a dump trailer instead. And so that went back to them to see what they're gonna do. Shuttle bus, a shuttle bus is needed to bring kids down from the primary and the middle school to the elementary school for youth soccer. And it's not something the school district should pay for because we don't do youth soccer.
It's a club.
It's a club sport, and so Dr. Breining is gonna try to work with
But we do wanna
youth
try to support
soccer,
our students, yeah.
and we have the bus service to try to come together on some sort of agreement that they can pay for it, but we can get it for them. We'll see what happens. It's not a guarantee, but. And then our property liability insurance is up for renewal, and we're looking at that. And then we looked at budget projections leading up to the next referendum through Baird and Jason, thank you. And the numbers look really good, of course, until the referendum dropped off, and then they don't look so good. So we do need to pass another referendum. And that is it.
All right, well, thank you. And policy has not met since the last board meeting. So our future meetings, our next regular school board meeting will be Monday, January 12th, 5:30 closed session, 6:30 open. Our personnel committee will be Tuesday, January 6th, at 4:30. Facility and finance will be Tuesday, January 6th at 6 o'clock. Curriculum will be Wednesday, January 28th at 4:30. And our policy will be that same Wednesday, 28th at 6 o'clock.
State School Board Convention
Yeah,
is the
Moscow
21st to the
is-
23rd.
Yeah.
That's right, how could I forget? I'm
There
so
we go.
excited.
Yes.
Okay, and we do need to go back into closed session.
I will make a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute sections 19.851 CE to consider employment and compensation and performance evaluation data of administrators, teachers, support staff, coaches, or crew.
So you know, my class is done, so my students are all gone.
Yeah.
So you're good, okay.
So you can be with us?
Okay, so Adam, I'm sorry, who would second
I
that?
second.
Gary second. Administration, thank you so much for
Thank you
listening
so
to all this.
much.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, roll call?
Yeah.
Roll call.
Roll call, Scott?
Yes.
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 Sarah?
Roll call?
Sarah?
Roll call. I'm here.
Yes.
Yes. Yes or no?
Teresa said yes. Motion passes 7-0, we're enclosed.